your money, your taxes, your truck, and your road to success in the trucking industry. This is Trucking Business and Beyond, the show that puts the money where it belongs, back in your pocket.
Good morning, you beautiful bunch of fuckers, and welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. It is Wednesday, July 3rd. We are here live. It's time for Destination Health. It's time for a Destination Health free-for-all today. I've got no theme. I have no guests. We've got 3 hours. Let's have some fun with it. We're going to open the phone lines right now. One of the things I like to do today, and I may even join in and kick us off on this. I've got a ton of stuff that I might want to talk about. It depends on whether calls start coming in or not. So phone lines are open, 855-950-3835, or hit that call now button on your app. One of the things I'd like to do today, you can do whatever you want. It is a free-for-all. I'd like to hear some really good testimonials today. Let's have a little fun with it. Let's encourage other people. The one thing I've heard from people over and over is what really convinced them to try something was hearing other people talk about their results. And we do it a lot on the show, but I kind of want to focus on it today. Maybe tell us the single biggest improvement in your health since you changed your diet. I'm still really enjoying one of them this year. I wouldn't say it's the single biggest by far. It's not, but it came later after, when I first changed my diet, we've talked about this, within 30 days, a lot of things improve. Within a year, even more things improve. And then the improvements kind of slow down, and over time, maybe you notice some other things happening. One of the things that I've noticed is there was a time where if I looked at carbs, I'd probably gain weight again, and I'd get some joint pain back and some other things. And now that's not the case anymore. I can eat significantly higher amounts of carbs without gaining any weight. I think that's just healing of your metabolism over time. And it's not that I ever want to go back to eating those many carbs, because I don't feel as good when I do. But I don't gain weight. I don't feel as bad as I used to. I think I can handle those better, but I still find that I perform better the lower carb my diet is. I just kind of went through last weekend. I was out at the homestead. We didn't have a lot of food out there, so I was just working all day. I wasn't eating much. When I did eat, it was just carnivore. Yet I started to get back into that mode that I talked about, like just tons of energy. My brain was working better. I sometimes it's a little too much, and I almost started to feel that again, but there's definitely a correlation there. But the one thing that I've really been enjoying the last couple of weeks is this idea that, well, not idea, it's reality, that I can go out in the sun for hours and hours and hours without being covered up, without sunscreen, and I don't burn. That is, it's hard to describe after you've spent 60 years trying to protect yourself from the sun, because I never avoided the sun. I've always wanted to be outside. I was big into water sports growing up, a lot of water skiing. I went through a lot of sunscreen. And I didn't realize how bad it was. It seemed like the right thing to do because I would burn. It wasn't even a matter of that I was afraid of skin cancer. I would burn. And then all the reports are the more you burn, the more likely you are to get skin cancer. So I did think about it. 60 years, I struggled with this. And it's shocking to me now. I'll be outside and a couple hours will go by, and I've been in the sun with my shirt off, no hat, and I'll almost panic, and I'll think, you pushed it too far, you're going to be burnt this time. And I'm not. It's just pretty incredible. Now, the other thing I will tell you, I don't tan all that much either. So for as much as I've been in the sun, you might not really notice it, but I'm not fish belly white anymore. So I am enjoying that one. I do see some calls are starting to come in, so we will get to them. I've got a whole list of stuff here. Let me look at, I do want to go through some of this. There is no doubt that there is still an attack on anything that seems to improve our health. They really come after this stuff hard. There's a couple examples of this right now. One of them that is just, it's hard to imagine any reason why they would do this other than the obvious is they really don't want us healthy, and they want us really dependent on pharmaceutical drugs in the system. There was a study going on. Now I forgot what state it was, because it really doesn't matter what state it is. If I remember, I'll tell you. They were doing a study on schizophrenia and a ketogenic diet. And the doctor running the study, things were actually going really well. And she said, we absolutely need better options for schizophrenics. The drugs we have really don't work. They certainly don't work for everybody, but they really don't work very well for anybody. They have horrible side effects. Many have long-term side effects that you can't reverse. I've talked about this. These medications cause another condition called tardive dyskinesia, where you lose control of the muscles in your hands and your face, and but they have a drug for that. I'm sure that one works, right? The cost of these drugs is outrageous, and they're just not working. But we keep giving people drugs, and then we switch drugs. And so this doctor was doing a ketogenic study, and the state came in and shut it down. They won't allow private studies paid for by anybody else, but they would allow this study if it were being run by the state. Now, how much sense does that make? Most states, just like our country, are broke. Why not let third-party companies do this kind of testing? The state isn't doing it. They would be allowed, but they shut down this private testing of the ketogenic diet. Nobody even attempts to explain why. So you can only infer that, Big Pharma probably has their hand in this. And of course, they don't want a study that uses food to fix anything. All right, what else did I have? I think I'm just going to start printing up shirts and hats that say, "I told you so." Because so many of the things we've talked about over the last 10 years keep coming true. I'll tell you one of the things I got more pushback on than almost anything, and I got pushback from our tribe. People thought I had gone too far. Oh, you've gone too far now. When I talked about medical screening, mammograms, people lose their mind over if you try to discredit or contradict the idea of doing all these mammograms, people lose their mind, women especially, and I understand why. But you've got to look at the truth here, and the truth is now coming out. There are many studies now coming out saying the whole mammogram thing is a really bad idea. I've talked about it in depth. I've given books about, really explaining why it's a bad idea. And people lost their mind every time I talked about this issue. I got some really, really nasty messages over this one. Well, my sister-in-law died over this, and she would have been saved by a mammogram. Well, no, you can't know that. Well, my sister got a mammogram, and it saved her life. No, you can't know that either. And people get very emotional about that, and I get it. But you got to set the emotion aside and look at the facts. Medical screening is nothing more than a money-making scam. All of it. Really, that's all it is. It will lead to another test, another procedure, and then ultimately some sort of a prescription. That's where all this stuff ends up going, or some sort of a surgery. That is the whole point of all medical screening. I didn't say medical testing, medical screening. The difference is we test if we have something very specific, we want to know a certain number, or we are looking because there are some symptoms and we know something is wrong. Doing medical testing then is just fine. Of course we would do it. Medical screening is looking for something that you have absolutely no signs or symptoms of. I've talked about it, and like I said, a lot of information coming out about mammograms specifically. If they did enough studies, we would do the same thing with prostate exams and PSA tests and all of that. What else do I have? Another study, big study came out. This one I used to worry about because I didn't have enough good information about this one. People would come to me and they would already have kidney disease. They would have elevated kidney numbers and they would say, my doctor told me I have to stay away from protein. And I would say, I don't really think that's a good idea to stay away from protein. But I wasn't really confident in that one. Now that I read the study, I'm very confident. It was a lack of protein that caused you to have the kidney disease in the first place. Nothing else. It was your diet of processed foods and too many carbohydrates and not enough good protein and fat that caused the problem. It's part of metabolic syndrome, just like all the other stuff. The fix is actually the protein, and the new study shows zero danger to feeding somebody a high-protein diet, even in advanced kidney disease. They've lied to us over and over and over again about this one, just like they've lied about so many other things. Stay away from the sun, it will give you skin cancer. No, it's actually your sunscreen that's going to give me skin cancer, and the lack of sun that will do it. Stay away from protein, it's going to kill your kidneys and then kill you. No, it's not. It was the lack of protein that caused the problem, and it is protein that will fix the problem. It's amazing how many times and how badly they've lied to us about so much of this stuff. I have been asked, I get messages all the time, and people ask, I used to do garden videos. I just do a walk around with the camera and kind of point out what's going on in the garden and what I was doing. And I didn't really know if people were enjoying those or not. I got comments on them, but I've had a lot of comments that I haven't done that at the homestead. And I haven't. And one of the reasons why is I got to figure out kind of a good way of doing it, probably short segments. If I walked around the homestead the way I used to walk around the garden and kind of point out everything, those videos I think ended up being like 20 minutes sometimes. The homestead would be hours. So I'm going to maybe work out a thing and do some short videos here and there. And things are finally happening over there too. Remember, I bought it in the fall last year. We were already taking stuff out and getting the place ready for winter. And it looks very different in the winter than it does in the summer. And things are just now finally starting to grow. This has been the slowest start to growing things that I have ever had, both here and out at the homestead, because I do have a small garden still here, and I'm growing a lot of flowers here. But things are really, really growing slow this year. I can't believe it's July already. And I don't have any tomato plants that are more than about 2 inches tall right now. I mean, they're still all in seedling cups. So it's kind of a late start for me, but I may start shooting some videos because we are harvesting things too already. I mean, I've got potatoes that won't be long now. Harvested peas the other day for the first time. Lots and lots and lots of berries. What else do we have coming? That's probably it for right now, but I'm thinking about shooting some videos. All right. Phone lines are open. We are going to get to those calls. I have some other topics, but I'm pretty sure once we start taking calls, we will get busy. So jump in and join us. 855-950-3835. I do want to let you know we still have the star-spangled savings sale going on all of our healthy food and snacks, which is all of the food in our store. We don't put it in our store if you can't eat it. Now, I will say that if you're diabetic still, and you still have healing to do, there are some foods in our store you should stay away from. And if you're not sure which ones, call me and I'll tell you. I don't want you buying stuff you shouldn't be eating. But after you do some healing, we have some really high-quality snacks. They might be slightly higher in carbs. That's why some people should avoid them. But they're all on sale, 15% until July 5th. So you've got a little bit of time. But you might as well just go over there right now and do it. While you're listening to me talk, just go to the store, buy a bunch of food. It helps us. It helps you. Helps our partners. So 15% off all the best stuff in the store. Head on over there. I also have an announcement, and I kind of called this as an audible. I thought about it yesterday, and then I talked with Lisa about it this morning, and it's kind of short notice, but I'm going to do it anyway. I think I need to. There's a lot of stuff going on. I could use a break. I am taking next week off. So today is our last show for a little bit. Let's have fun with it. Jump in and join us. Like I said, I'll hang out here for next couple of hours or so until we run out of calls and questions. And then I will be off all next week. We don't have anything special going on during that time. The app will be playing shows the whole time. But it's time. I could use some time off, and this is going to work out well. All right, I'm going to get to some phone calls. I think I went through everything. One of the things that, even when I take time off, there will be some time where I'm going to be doing some research and some reading during that week. Not a lot. I really am going to try to stay away from it too much. One of the things that I really want to get up to speed on, and it just happened recently, the Supreme Court ruling about the what's being called Chevron deference. This is a really, really big deal the way I understand it right now. And I'm not sure that I do understand it, but I'm trying to listen to the people that should know. And I'm going to do some research on this and really try to figure it out. If this turns out to be as big as what some people are saying, this could be the biggest shift in politics in my lifetime, in the way we govern this country. I'm hoping that it is that big, because it's a really good decision from my point of view. I've talked about this many, many times. You've heard me talk about this issue. I didn't even know this whole thing existed. I didn't know this is how we got here. I've said I don't understand why our entire country is being run by unelected bureaucrats in alphabet agencies, the FDA, the CDC, the FMCSA, the DOT, the DOL. We could go on and on and on and on. All of these agencies that write regulations that have huge impacts on our life, our industries, our businesses, our money, our health. And I've always wondered how did we ever allow this to happen? These people have so much control and we don't elect them. That's not a representative government. And I didn't know that this is how that happened. It was never meant to be that way. This was a court case that set this all up. And I think it's made a mess of our country. I think it's a big part of why we are where we are today. Forget blaming the Republicans or the Democrats or whoever. Blame this. This could be that big. I'm hoping it is that big. I'm not sure yet. But I'm going to start diving into this and see what I can figure out. I'm looking at this specifically in 3 areas. This is about regulations, over-regulation. That's what all this is about. So I'm looking at 3 areas specifically: money regulations, regulations we have to follow around money, and the financial services are heavily regulated. Health, and I can't think of many things that are more heavily regulated than health, and trucking, which we know we have certainly been affected by EPA regulations. Whether you want clean air or not clean water, which I absolutely do. I don't want to ruin our environment. I just talked about how much I love being outside. But I don't believe that what the FDA has, not the FDA, the EPA, too many of them to keep straight. I don't believe the way they've done this is the right way. I think we could have done it better. All right, let's get to some phone calls. Phone lines are open. Jump in and join us. Let's go to Georgia. Glenn, welcome.
Hey, Kevin, how are you?
Good. What's on your mind today?
First time calling in and talking to you. I'm a new listener. A guy that I used to work with turned me on to you a month or so ago.
Well, great.
And today I'm starting my 10th week of carnivore. And I've been trucking for 30 years. And just listening to you for the last month, you have those aha moments.
Right.
And, he found out what I was doing and he turned me on to you. And I got to tell you, probably I'm 50, I'll be 54 years old and, pretty healthy, not real bad shape.
Right.
Things that, they told me that I had plantar fasciitis and I started, I'd walk with kind of a limp, and in the morning I couldn't get up, I couldn't do anything. And it's funny, they cortisone shots and steroids and all kinds of stuff. And 10 weeks in to a carnivore diet, I can bounce on the balls of my feet.
Isn't this
it's all inflammation?
Isn't it crazy? I mean, I know you're new,
Nuts.
30 days, whatever it's been. We've been doing this coming up now on 10 years, I think. This story never, ever gets old. I love hearing this. And it's still, I'm still amazed by it that no matter what ailment somebody has, whatever's hurting, whatever's broke, whatever's wrong, we fix it with food over and over and over. It never fails. And then you compare it to what they were doing before, like you said, drugs and shots, and it doesn't work. They'll send you to physical therapy for this and show you how to do a bunch of stretches, and that makes it feel a little better, but it doesn't go away. And then you can have bouts where it's just horrible. Like you said, you wake up some morning, you can't even walk. And I said the same thing you just said. I still say it. I wasn't really unhealthy. Even in my 50s, I started this at like 51. 52, right around there. I was on no prescription medications. I was about 40 or 45 pounds overweight, but I didn't think so, because I had worked out a lot. And I'm like, no, I'm just, it's just a little extra weight. No, it was about 45 pounds of extra weight. That disappeared. All my pain went away. And it's almost like you get a second chance at life again. And here's the sad part. You and I both described ourselves as somewhat healthy. And now do you think you were healthy before? See, I don't think, I would have said, no, I was a healthy 52-year-old. Now I look back and go, oh, hell no.
Healthy.
No, I wasn't healthy at all. I was really sick.
I was living in the lie.
Me
false
too.
Narrative that I was fed for years.
Yeah, that all of this is going to happen just because you get older, right? Oh, it's just you're getting older. That's what happens. That's not what should happen, though.
No way.
We've normalized all of those things. My digestion was a mess. My joints hurt all the time. I had brain fog. I could go on, and I somehow thought I was healthy.
Yeah, same situation here, and I'm 10 weeks in on a carnivore, and I'm 30 days new listener to your program, which I love everything you do. And my wife she's 4 months into this, 5 months.
Excellent.
And, I wanted to see if she's stuck with it, and it's much easier to do things together.
Yes.
And I got to tell you, she's a couple of years older than me, and she's like in her 30s. She's like bouncing all over the place and energy, and just, I'm like, So it's definitely pretty cool. And we actually, like I said, I've been in trucking for over 30 years. I grew up in the business.
Yeah.
And I tried to get out a few times. We even opened up a restaurant, and people don't realize how everything is poisoned in the food system on a commercial level.
So
so everything that we're trying to get as drivers, you see, you don't look at the ingredients, you don't realize what's going on. And we were just awoken where it was like getting slapped in the face with, you're trying to kill me.
I try to get this across to people. Yeah, my wife spent 20 years in the food industry as a restaurant consultant. So I'm really familiar with that system, and it has gotten so much worse. When you look at the restaurants that we go to most of the time, fast food, fast casual food, things like, I'm going to name Fridays, Chili's. I don't even know who's left anymore because I don't pay attention to restaurants because I almost never eat out. But all those kind of fast casual places, if you would go in and look at what's in their kitchen, there is no food anywhere. There's no real food back there. Nobody is cutting and chopping stuff up and actually making dishes. Everything comes out of bags and boxes and cans, and everything is pre-prepared, and it is some of the worst. It's not even food. It is so bad. And we keep eating out more and more and more, and it is really making us sick.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I do a good percentage of produce right now, and I never knew how to wash produce the right way until I got into the food business, and somebody taught me how to do it the right way. And you don't realize, you go into a lot of these places and you're eating things that you think is good for you,
right?
And you're running to the bathroom before you can get back to the truck.
Yeah.
And you're like, it just goes. If it goes right through you,
something's wrong. Something's wrong. That's right.
The food just bothered me. It's my system. No, the food is the problem.
It absolutely is.
Our bodies are not designed. And like I said, you've got me. I'm a convert, and I'll shout from the mountaintops that what you're shouting here and broadcasting is definitely got my attention. And if I wasn't on this carnivore thing and had the clarity, I don't think you could have ever. And this is a different topic. I'll call you back when you do your fuel day.
Okay.
But I actually took, and for the first time in 30 years, I ran under 60 miles an hour for a week, and I got about 9.5 miles to the gallon with a 2019 Max.
Isn't that awesome?
But here's the thing. Where I'm at mentally, I think, has a lot to do with me having the patience and listening and being able to do it.
I think you're right.
Because I was that guy. I was the guy that never really looked at expenses the way I should. I was just, let's get more revenue. And I'm always getting so high per mile, the fuel is irrelevant. And I just had an aha moment where I said, wait a minute, it's a lot of money. So you got me there, too.
And it's not one or the other. And people try to tell me, all you do is focus on expense. No, I don't. I talk about revenue. We just don't have to talk about it nearly as much. There's not as much to do around revenue. Understand rates and lanes, that helps. Build some good relationships, that helps. Once you've done those things around revenue, there's not a whole lot else you're going to do. You're dependent on the market now. All those people that needed $4 a mile, they're kind of screwed right now. Because it's just not there. I don't care what you do. You can focus on revenue all day long, and you're not going to get that kind of rate anymore. The expense side, there's so many things we can do. And once you realize that, then sure, get your revenue as high as you can. Of course, we would want to do that. But there's so much more opportunity to put more money to the bottom line by cutting expenses than there is by raising revenue.
Hands down. But I don't want to get off on the fuel topic.
No, that's all right. That's all right.
But I gotta tell you, and anybody that thinks I probably see 1,000 people a day visually.
Right.
And probably 900 plus of those people are what I would consider physically out of shape and overweight, just visually, just by looking at them. And I see guys struggle to get in their truck.
Yep.
I see guys at the farms and the places that I go to, you got to climb up there and you got to put your load locks in after you pull out of the dock. They can't even get up in the trail.
Right.
So I'm just looking, and you think, and when you go into the truck stops and you go to these places, there's really no good option because everything is enriched flour. It's got there's 90 different names for sugar that they put in everything, and it's everybody thinks, oh, it's got natural flavors in it. Natural flavor is just a way for them to mask the chemicals that they're putting in food. Yeah, and it's just it's
you know,
frustrating.
Let's take it one step further. Because you're right. We visually see people all day, and we can see, you and I, you're a little younger than I am, but you and I can remember a time where the obese person stood out. Not anymore.
Yeah.
It's almost like the really healthy person is the oddball now that you notice because everybody else looks the same. And I'm going to make a statement. They don't just look overweight. They look sick.
Yeah.
People look sick. Their skin does not look good. They've got skin conditions. You can see they're either pale or blotchy. People are bloated. Bloated is not the same as being, having body fat. I can tell the difference when somebody has some extra body fat and when they're bloated. Most of the time it's both. And then I see people who really eat correctly and they're not bloated. You can see it everywhere. You can see it in their hands. You can see it in their face. People that eat this way look healthier. The first time this was almost a shock to my system was the first time I went to like a paleo conference. So everybody there is interested in eating this way. All the practitioners are there, the people. And when you get there and you're surrounded by those people for 2 or 3 days, you start to realize how sick everybody else looks.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I tried a juice cleanse for 30 days. I did nothing but green juice for 30 days. You know what I did? I got kidney stones.
I was just going to hold on. I was just going to say, your oxalate level went so high during that 30 days that you will have issues from that. Kidney stones, gallstones, gout-like joint pain.
I got them both.
Yep.
I got them both.
That's exactly what happens from a green juice cleanse. Yeah.
I eat ribeye steak every day.
There you go.
Ribeye.
It's
and drivers that think that they can't do this, whether it's company owner or operator. I mean, I run a couple of trucks. Every grocery store that's out there, just do your due diligence. Look and satellite map the shopping center that it's in. You'll get trucks in the back of the grocery store. So just go in the back of the store.
Exactly.
Don't throw garbage in the parking lot. Don't be that guy. Just and when you come around the store, bring your cart back, load your stuff in your truck, and then bring the cart back where it goes. You're in and out of there. I go 3 times a week and I get fresh steak, and that's what I cook.
Hey, so, Glenn, let me give you one tip. I don't know if you've heard me talk about this or you've come across it or not. We talk about it a lot. We've got some videos about it. Have you ever heard me talk about pressure canning meat?
Yes, I have. And actually, I currently live in Hilton Head, South Carolina, and we're looking to move to Tennessee and get some property. So
got it.
We're definitely gonna look to. We're actually going to take a class on dispatching and processing meat. So,
awesome. Very cool. So now, here's the thing. A lot of people who hunt learn how to can because you have so much meat all at once. But I can the meat from the store just because it's so darn convenient to have. Well, here's the first thing. Once it's canned, I just ate on my last trip out in my RV, I found some canned meat that I had canned back in 2017. I found it in the pantry. I ate it. You can't tell the difference. It's been in a pantry of an RV that sits outside in the hot, the cold, year after year since 2017, and the meat was fantastic. Couldn't tell the difference. So it's an awesome way to preserve, to be prepared, to have food set aside in case of emergencies. But it is the best thing in the world on the road. I'll take, canned pulled pork with me, canned brisket, canned ground beef. canned chicken, canned turkey, and you just open up a jar and you've got cooked meat, and you don't need refrigeration.
Nice. That's definitely, yeah. I mean, with that in and of itself, there's no reason why it's a choice not to eat healthy.
That's it.
And
that's exactly right.
I'm eating ribeye steak every day. I spend probably no more than I'm in the $20-ish range a day on food. $20-ish a day.
Yeah, people don't understand. They think, oh my God, ribeye is so expensive. What do you mean you're eating it every day? That's the beauty of this. Yeah. We can afford to eat ribeye every day because we're not spending money on 37 other products from the grocery store.
Correct. And I'm not eating 3 full meals a day.
Exactly.
I can't eat 3 meals a day. If I try to eat 3 meals a day, I feel like I'm going to get sick because I'm so full.
Yeah, you can't eat that much.
Yeah.
I know. Love it.
It's definitely. Well, I'll check back in with you after 90 days when I get my blood work done. And I had a cardiologist that right away wanted to put me on a torvastatin, and I said, I'm too young to go on pills. They said, well, you're not going to be able to cure this with diet. I said, let me ask you a question. You're saying I can't cure with diet, and how has I been coming to you for the last 5-6 years, and you've never even asked me about my diet?
And wait a minute. When he says you can't cure this with diet, what has he been doing for the last 5 years? What ailment of yours has he cured? Nothing.
None.
Nothing. They never do.
It's just a prescriber. That's all they are. I think in medical school, I don't know what specifically it is, but I've got friends of mine that are doctors that say they spend 2 years on pharmacology and 2 months on nutrition.
Oh, they're lying to you. Hold on.
Should be the other way around.
Hold on. They are lying to you. I know the statistics. We just had a doctor on last week. I have doctors on all the time. We had Casey Means on last week. Stanford Medical School, one of the highly acclaimed medical schools in the country. She graduated top of her class. 0 nutrition. Not a single day.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. That's the norm in medical schools today. They do not teach nutrition at all. I'd love to find out what school, whoever was talking to you and said they got 2 months of nutrition. I've never heard any doctor get that much.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll find out what school it was.
Let you know. I'd be interested.
But it's definitely crazy. And I've been to, I was a board member on the Illinois Trucking Association for 5 or 6 years and involved in ATA, and I've been in the administrative side of owning quite a few trucks, and then driver, and
excellent.
I'm a small fleet owner now. The one thing that I've never ever seen anybody talk about was proper nutrition, and it was all just this business with neck size and sleep apnea, and they want a CPAP machine, and you want this and you want that. How about try and fix the problem? That's nutrition. That's
Yep. Crazy. All right, Glenn. Definitely crazy. Great to have you in the tribe, and I'll look forward to hearing back from you.
Oh yeah, you're going to be seeing. I'm going to subscribe to the monthly thing, and we'll be talking about. You're teaching me to look at my pennies after 30-something years of being in this business.
Perfect. Love it. We got you young.
Good day, Kevin.
That's right. Have a great day. Let's go to Pennsylvania. Aaron, welcome to the program.
Hi, this is Aaron. I had a question on ages. I've been listening to some cardiologists who are basically functional doctors, but they recommend that butter, particularly, I sent an email to you referencing his lecture that he gave as having next to bacon the highest of ages in all of it.
Well, wait a minute. We gotta clear something up here, though. Is that I don't have time to go through all this stuff. I know I got a whole presentation here. Is whoever is talking about this claiming that the butter creates glycation in the human body?
I think they're saying that it contains it, and then also the way you cook it creates even more in the actual meat.
I'm going to have to go through this because that's a pretty deep topic. But I'll tell you, I do understand when I want to clarify for people, because when you're saying ages, people might believe that you're talking about
That's right.
our age, how old we are. AGE, advanced glycation end products, is what we're talking about here. So this is, and I know a lot about this topic. I don't know if it's in butter or not. That doesn't even make sense to me, but it could be. But I will tell you this, that people who eat bacon and butter for their diet never have problems with advanced glycation in the human body. The only thing that causes glycation in the human body is sugar. That's it.
According to him, the way that the browning of the meats, like if we have to, char anything
The,
and
the,
eat
let,
that,
hey,
it
Aaron,
creates
how long have
more
you listened to
glycation
me?
in the body.
How long have you listened to me?
Years, many years.
Many years. You know how I judge all this stuff. You know how I feel about studies. Studies can be bought, not can be. Studies are bought and paid for every single day. They will tell us that Lucky Charms are heart healthy. They lie to us over and over and over. This to me sounds like another big lie. Like I said, I'll go do the research on it, but it is the exact opposite of everything I know about glycation. Glycation happens from high carbohydrate load and too much sugar in the body. That's what glycation is. So if they're claiming that, now let's think about, I take everything back to hunter-gatherers, right? Because the studies will tell us anything we want the studies to tell us. How did hunter-gatherers cook their food?
Usually over a fire.
That's it. Not usually. That was the only way they could cook food. And what happens when you put meat in a fire? It chars.
It chars.
We've been charring our food since we learned how to cook food. Do we really think that it caused a problem? Because all of these health problems did not occur then. They all occur now. So it's not charring meat that caused this. It's not cooking butter. They didn't even have butter. Hunter-gatherers didn't. But this is not about charring meat causing glycation in the human body. Sugar causes glycation.
Yeah, he agrees with that too part. I'm just thinking about the other parts I saw. I didn't know.
I will promise
the other
you,
thing
my method of cooking almost all cuts of meat now. Well, cuts like steaks or chops, things that we typically cook fast and maybe leave rare. My method now, I don't like to cook cuts of meat anything less than like 3 inches thick. So if I'm getting a ribeye, it's a 3 to 4 inch ribeye. I do double bone pork chops. Some of those are 5 and 6 inches thick. And I put it at a very high temperature in a smoker, like 450 degrees. I put it in there. When it gets to the temperature I want to cook it, I take it out. It is totally charred and crusted. That's how I eat almost all of my steaks and chops now. And I have no worries whatsoever that is harming my health in any way.
Okay.
And butter. I should have bought
and microwaving your meat.
I should have bought a.
Because he claimed.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, he's just claiming that anything over the boiling temperature, which was 212, is what causes the in their studies, of course.
So maybe
the acceleration.
Maybe there is some sort of glycation happening to the meat itself. I don't know that. I've never bothered to research that. But as I'm thinking about it, this is what's called the Maillard effect when you brown meat. And it's actually the sugars in the meat that cause that. So maybe we are glycating those sugars in that meat. That does not translate to glycation in the human body. We're going to digest that meat.
Yeah, he claims we got about 15,000 limit that we are able to get rid of in our body. Anything over that creates ages in our arteries. So, he's a cardiologist. I don't know. That's
well. I actually have a good friend who's a cardiologist. I'll get him on the show and we'll talk about that.
Yeah, that'd be nice. And you talk about Jack Wilson.
Yeah.
Wilson?
Yeah, I'll ask Jack about that.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing was the potassium intake is in foods is very hard to obtain. It's apparently very important for heart rate and blood pressure,
That is
and
absolutely true.
it's very hard to get it with the foods that vegetables, I guess. With one of the highest ones I've seen is beet, greens, and root, having about like 1,000 or almost 1,000 in just one
There's a
beet
big
root
problem with
stock.
trying to get all your potassium from beets.
Oxalate.
Yep, you're getting a huge oxalate load there. It's just not worth it. I would rather supplement potassium if I had to. We supplement a small amount of potassium in our daily. I like the daily light balance for minerals. Now that is not
Yeah, I take that.
large amounts of potassium, but I also I don't see carnivores.
ADA is or recommended is 4,700, so it's like nearly impossible to get to that number.
Well, I could care less.
Agar seaweed has the most of all foods. I don't even know what that is. I just found that yesterday.
I could care less what the ADA puts out for a limit. One of the things we have to remember is that all the testing on nutritional levels, you need this much vitamin C, you need this much B12. That is all done on people who are eating the standard American diet. The standard American diet is loaded with what we call anti-nutrients, phytates and lectins that bond to nutrients and carry them out of the body. Grains are so bad at this that we have to enrich them. That's why they've got all those goofy chemicals in bread. Those are all basically junk vitamins is all they are. Really poor quality vitamins and minerals. Because when you eat grains, it depletes your body of nutrients. So they have to put more nutrients in the grain when you eat it. Just don't eat the grains, which we don't. We don't see big problems with low potassium. And if we do, I would just supplement.
There's no certain amount you're trying to get in a day. I mean, I'm taking light balances. I'm taking sweet potatoes.
I measure almost
greens and stock.
Well, you better watch the oxalates.
I didn't know much about the oxalates.
Right.
I forgot about it.
Sweet potatoes, beet greens.
Healthy people.
Yeah.
What's the downside of excessive oxalates again?
Oh, everything. We did a mini series on this. I did a mini series with a researcher who's focused on this almost her whole life. We did a 3-part series on oxalates. There's that much to know. We actually did a thing where we started at the top of our head and said, here's all of the areas that oxalates can affect, starting in your brain, your eyes, your gums. Virtually every tissue in your body can be affected by too much oxalate.
And they're not in meat, so you're basically you can get some of your potassium, I guess, in meat, or is it?
Yeah, absolutely, you do. And it's like almost all nutrients in meat. It's more absorbable when we get it from animal products.
Okay.
The human body, and this should tell us something. Almost every nutrient we look at, the human body has a much more difficult time absorbing the form of a nutrient that comes from a plant. Plants do not have vitamin A at all. They have beta carotene. Animals have vitamin A. When we eat an animal, we can get vitamin A directly. When we eat a plant, we get beta carotene. That's the plant's form of that nutrient. Our body now has to convert it, and we are not very good at converting those. And I could go through nutrient after nutrient after nutrient that it is exactly that way. Your body has to convert the plant form, and we lose so much in conversion, and that should tell us something. We were not designed to get our nutrients from plants.
Anything wrong with drinking coconut water? I know that's pretty rich potassium in it, but it does have a sugary sweetness.
Well, as long as it doesn't have added sugar, I'm okay with it. The only thing I know of that is a problem with coconut water is it tastes bad. God, I hate that stuff. I don't know how anybody drinks it.
Yeah, certain brands I've noticed it could be a little better. Lyco is yike. CO is.
Yeah, if you've got a brand you
still
like,
has a sugary sweetness.
just make sure there's no added sugar.
Okay.
Just check the total carb count and make sure it's not putting you over where you're comfortable carb-wise. But yeah, there'd be nothing wrong with coconut water.
Okay. Well, I'll have to switch to meat then. Is there a source of meat that has the strongest or highest amount of potassium?
I don't know that I would focus all that much on potassium right now. Have you even had your levels tested?
A while back, actually, but I'm just looking at just lowering resting heart rate. I've heard that it's
but hold on. Don't. I am not a big fan of this. This nutrient is going to fix this, and then trying to hyper focus on that nutrient. Eat a good animal-based diet and we'll be fine. If we can identify that you actually have a deficiency in something, then maybe target it or try some supplementation. And I'm big on getting our stuff from food first, but I'm not going to run around eating all kinds of weird foods to get my potassium level up. If it's not coming up through meat and eggs and some other things, we might actually have to look at things like fatty acid balance. Are you getting enough omega-3? Because that can
definitely. Yeah, I'm eating a lot of salmon.
Oh, good,
salmon.
good. Well, then
high level of,
what is your potassium level? I mean, what's the number?
It's been such a long time since I ran the test. I can't even quote it.
But was it significantly low?
Limits, but I have orders in to get taking that pretty soon.
Yeah,
just I can get to the
test it and
order from that.
Call me back with the number and we'll go through it specifically.
I've actually went to Dr. Wolfson's assistant. They gave me all kind of functional tests to take, and so I'm just basically repeating that same list of orders.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, I asked most about those burning questions in my head about the cooking. I cooked after watching the meat in the microwave, which was not the best.
It sucks.
Taste, obviously, and
it sucks. There's no way I'm going to microwave or boil my meat. You've got to be kidding me. No, mine is going on the fire. Mine's going in the smoker. Mine's going in a screaming hot cast iron pan if I want to sear it. I don't worry about that at all.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear that. All right. Well, I'll have to give you a call back with potassium numbers. And thanks for
perfect.
Put me at ease a little bit about that.
Yeah. I mean, just think about our hunter-gatherer ancestors charred their food over an open fire for hundreds of thousands of years, and they weren't sick. They didn't have cancer. They didn't have metabolic syndrome. And yet we're going to worry about somebody who's eating right and tell them they're cooking wrong. I don't buy it. Let's go to Iowa. Brad, welcome to the program.
Hi, I had a quick question about paroxetine. I have been on it since 2013. A fellow driver told me his doctor told him that it blocks weight loss. Do you believe that, or was the doctor wrong?
No, this time the doctor's right. Paroxetine is in a group. Paxil is one of the brand names of paroxetine. Seroxide, I think, is another one. This is a drug that falls into a group called SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. In my opinion, they should probably just outlaw this whole class of drugs. And yes, it will absolutely create weight gain and make weight loss much more difficult.
Okay, because I have been carnivore since probably 2020-ish. Not 100%, but I do have vegetables in there as well. I'm still insulin resistant, in my opinion, and seems like I just can't lose any weight. So
a couple things we could do. I mean, I can give you some rough ideas here to go try that might improve things. We could do a deeper dive into this in the coaching program, but I'll give you some ideas to try. One, before we even talk about any changes in your diet, let's talk about the SSRI. What was the biggest reason you decided to take this drug in 2013?
My wife.
Really?
She told me I was kind of becoming irritable, and
Brad.
short-tempered.
Brad, come on. Uh,
I
uh,
know.
are you still married to
Well,
her?
I want to get off of them. Yes,
I just want to check.
I've actually met you before at the truck show and talked to you before, and she's anti me when it comes to diet and everything else.
So here's the
I
thing.
do want to
Look,
get off this medication.
well, just try this, because they're now. I will tell you. Have you ever gone without this drug for a couple days?
Yes, and it is.
It sucks, doesn't
like
it?
hell. I mean,
I don't
want to. Yes, and feel you get what they call it, the nips and the zips and everything. And you
The
feel like you're
electric
losing your mind.
shocks and yeah, that's another problem, that doctors are really quick to give this drug to people and never tell them how hard it is to get off of these things. And they give them for all kinds of stupid reasons. This one, I'm sorry, Brad, but I got to put this in the stupid reason column. You got to get off this drug. And I know it sucks doing it. Taper off. Right. It really, really does help if you taper down. And the slower you taper down, the easier it will be. And if it takes you 2 months to taper down, then do it. My guess is when you get off this drug, you are going to feel significantly better once you get through the withdrawals.
I hope.
Even what, the irritability, the anger, even that may be completely gone now that you're eating so clean.
Well, back in 2013, I was a new father as well. I had a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, so that could have been part of the irritability and the
of course it was
as well.
Of course it was. Yeah. I mean, we all get irritated. We all get angry. I will tell you, though, when you eat right, it happens a lot less. A lot less. Yeah. You're just in a better mood. Your brain works better. These drugs, like I say, this entire class of drugs, I almost think should be outlawed. They're that bad. They really don't help anybody.
I'd like to be off of them for sure. Like I said, I've tried, but I'll reach out to the tribe and see if anybody has weaned off it and kind of see how their schedule was. If they did a pill every other day, then every 3 days, and maybe cut the pills in half, or how that worked.
That's exactly. So my wife was diagnosed with a chronic liver disease 20-some years ago. And they told her that this is a progressive disease. There is nothing we can do to stop it from progressing. We can try to slow it down, and eventually you will need a liver transplant. That's what they told her. Now, her number that should be in the 20 to 30 range was well over 500 when they first diagnosed her. And they told her that number will always go up. That's the number we're watching. It will always go up. And at some point, there will be enough liver damage. You're going to need a transplant if you live long enough. The doctor even told her, my job is to keep you alive long enough. You need a liver transplant. That was the outlook. Her numbers today are in the low 200s. Not only that's 20-some years later, not only did they not go up, when she changed her diet, they went down significantly, and they've stayed down. You know what the doctor said? After 20 years on the same drug, oh, look, the drugs are working. That's what he said.
Did you see how many times the prescription was refilled? Yeah.
Now, but because without explaining most of this stuff to her, this is a pretty rare condition, and so it was pretty traumatic when she was going through it. It took them a long, long time to diagnose her. They just kind of randomly put her on an SSRI because they said this disease will be really stressful. That's criminal. She didn't understand what SSRIs were. At the time, I didn't either. I did a deep dive into these, and that's why I know a lot about them. I helped her wean off. There's a funny story to this, too. So she tapered down just by cutting the dose first, and then cutting pills in half, and then cutting pills in a quarter, anything to get the dose down as low as possible over time. And if she started to get the weird feeling, she might slow down a little bit. And we got down to the last week, and she said, all right. And then she started skipping days at the end at a very low dose. Well, let's go a day without it. Let's try 2 days without it. And then she said, I think I'm done. I think I could just quit completely. And I said, all right, why don't we do this? We were on the road. We were traveling in the RV at the time. I said, why don't we just take a week off? We'll go park someplace we really like. Let's just try to make it as enjoyable as possible. So we did, and we're all prepared for it. Like the day or two after she quit, she was doing fine. For some odd reason, I had no problems. I was in the bathroom throwing up all day. I don't know if it was, I don't know what it was. It was such an odd occurrence. It was like I got all of her withdrawal symptoms and she got none.
What I call like phantom pregnancy, or the man has pregnancy pains or something. Or
exactly. Sympathy pains. I don't know what that was all about. But yeah, I had a really rough couple of days and she was fine.
Yeah. Maybe you were just so nervous for her. Your stomach was in knots.
I think
hoping she was going to be okay.
Something was going on. Yeah, it was pretty strange.
Okay. Well, I'll take this advice and run with it. Like I said, I've been on it for about 11 years, and I want to get off of it. And I heard that it blocks weight loss.
It
and
does.
Hopefully, if I get weaned off, it'll.
Yep. It actually creates weight gain.
Once in my life, a driver told me the truth.
Yes, he did. Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Rutherford.
You're welcome. Thanks for the call. Let's go to New Jersey. Danny, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Kevin. I just want to say, I was telling Chelsea this. I called yesterday. I was the last call yesterday, and I'm trying to stay calm. Out of 50 years of holding a steering wheel in a tractor trailer, there's never been anything harder that I've been experiencing every time I push the button to call you. And I've only been calling since probably March. I'm the one that had the hip replacement, lost my leg. But I would like to give a testimony. And I also have some questions. I'm in the store right now, and I'm going to be making my purchases, putting my money where my mouth is. And I just want to see if I could put this out there. I just like you, listening to your testimony throughout the years, I became addicted to talk radio very quick.
Yeah.
And I've learned so much throughout the years. My first guy was Bob Grant, who was over here on the East Coast. And you mentioned Bruce Williams. I wound up going to YouTube for a while, and he was great too, but I never had the pleasure to listen to him. But anybody who's listening right now, you're never going to come across anything better than what you're hearing right now from this man called Kevin Rutherford. Because what I recognized very early on with you is that I used to be criticized as a kid. My father was in the trucking business, and that's when we were called truckmen.
Right.
We weren't truck drivers.
That's right.
Because you handled everything both ways.
Yes.
On the trailer and then off the trailer.
Yep.
But he would say that, that I wore my heart on my sleeve and you were going to get hurt. And he also would say that I was a simpleton, and I wear those two badges on my sleeves.
There you go.
Because when I first started listening to you, I had to sit back, and I couldn't believe your patience, your just ability to just listen to the individual who was on the other end of the phone. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. But because I started listening to you when satellite radio came, and then I followed you to here, my biggest struggle was to get others within the industry to just listen, because what I said yesterday, and I want to just make this one statement about fuel economy. When you said that, and this is the way I phrased it, I'm over here on the East Coast, North Jersey, so I got a specific way of thinking. I would say don't worry so much what's coming in the front door. Worry about what's going out the back door, which equals expenses.
Right.
And once I was able to listen to you and really organize that, and we're talking probably 2007, right, Kev? Or when you hit you started your radio show? Or?
Yeah. I had been guest since like 99, 2000. I had been doing guest spots on several shows, but I got my show in April of 07.
And that's when I came across you. And what you were able to do for me was create the organization on how to implement that.
Right.
And it's just off the charts. So anybody who's listening right now, and I recommend, like Chelsea just said, keep calling. It's hard as anything. My heart rate goes up.
Danny,
I kind of gave my testimony.
Did you hear my story about Bruce Williams all those years?
I did, but I don't know that I remember it right now.
So I listened to Bruce Williams for years and years. It's so much so that back then, you remember AM. If you could hold a station for 20 minutes on AM, you were probably doing good if you were going down the interstate. And I'd get frustrated because I'd keep losing him, and then I'd have to, because he was syndicated all over the country, but I'd have to try to find him on another channel. And there were times where I wanted to hear the answer to the question. I would pull over on the side of the interstate and park and wait until that call was done so I didn't miss it. That's how much I loved the show. But I never once, I called the show 3 times. I never once talked to him. I chickened out. I hung up. I was afraid to go on the air.
Jeff, I called Bruce this morning because my mentality, I'm saying, I hope I didn't say something that made him, end the show quickly.
Oh, no, not at all.
Because I called him personally. I want to be able to get my shop to do the tuning, the remote tuning. Because my guys that I have over here in Newark, when I lost my leg, the owner of the shop and the foreman went and got my truck where it was parked, and they brought it over to the shop. They cleaned it up, and it's, sell it right now. I told them last week, because it's been there since September. I said, Talmo, I don't want anything to come in between my friendship with you. And he said, Danny, that truck could sit there for 2 years. And what he's doing for free, also, he's bringing up his detail guys, and they're going to detail all the aluminum. And a Coronado.
I got a bunch. Right.
And he says, I don't want nothing. But it's a Brew Truck Services on Frelinghuysen Avenue in Newark. Now, I kind of said this once before. Nobody lays on the ground. The truck goes in the air. If they got to do a clutch or whatever they do, once it's done, it comes down. They move it. A street sweep, a little guy on a street sweeper, he disinfects the whole area.
Right. Nice.
It's just, it's fab. But this goes to the personal relationships.
Yeah.
But I want to go to the health side right now, because, and this is what I believe, I waited way too long to get my hip replaced, number one. I was into the pelvis. But I had my hip replaced on August 1st. August 2nd, and I was on Eliquis. I should say that I've had an issue in 2006 with a pulmonary embolism. So I was taking blood thinners.
Okay.
And I walked on the walker August 2nd, 75 steps. From August 2nd to August 9th, I lost everything. I couldn't even get myself out of bed.
Wow.
And I wound up becoming allergic to the hospital blood thinner, which is heparin. They didn't know that. But being allergic, it's HIT transmitted into DIC, disseminated intravenous coagulation. My blood literally turned to mud. But my vascular doctor, who I'm very tight with, had the foresight to put a filter in me before I did the hip replacement, just in case the clots would go. But where I'm going to give testimony right now, I believe because I was eating the way we prescribed, keto/carnivore, for approximately at that time 6.5, 7 years, my immune system was strong enough to get me through, because when they first took my leg, they took it below the knee. And then, and I wound up being in University Hospital from August 1st until September 7th. Then they had to take it above the knee. And talk about traumatic experiences.
I can't even imagine.
But Kevin, I preached you the whole time I was there. My vascular doctor, I had an appointment on Monday. I went down because going to Kessler, I got the forearm crutches right now. I just got them. They're great.
Yeah.
Along with my microprocessor knee. And I kind of made a joke about it yesterday. I asked my mechanic, because it's got software to it, it's got its own chip. Right. I asked my mechanic if he could program to make it go faster. So,
That's right.
That's my mentality.
That's right.
And you. Now, I just want to fast forward. I went to see my vascular doctor on Monday. He says, Danny, I can't believe how good you look. And I can't get him still this very moment to understand. Doc, it's, the cardio miracle that I do. I eat, all the things that I'm in the process of right now repurchasing. But I just want to encourage anybody that's out there, just keep listening, because, and this is what I told Bruce, I'm trying to push what you and I don't want to put myself in your category, because I'm not, because you're a voracious reader. I am a lazy individual when it comes to that. And these people that I've sat underneath, Bob Grant, when he brought an author onto the radio, you didn't have to buy the book because he read the book. And the author would say, I can't believe you're asking me that question.
Right.
So, and that's you. Because you do put the hard work. And I am very happy to hear what you said this morning, that you are going to take the week, because
it's time.
You need to really, you're such a blessing to this industry and on the health side. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. But I need to ask you now about the product.
Sure.
Okay. Vitamin D, is there a shelf life to it? I stocked up. My last purchase was January of last year.
Our liquid vitamin D in the store specifically, is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
I believe there is an expiration date on the bottle.
Okay. But does it matter? That's,
the one thing we
like you said,
I would probably, look, if it's a month overdue, I would keep using it. If it's a year overdue, I would probably wouldn't. I don't know what the cutoff would be. Here is the one thing we would be concerned about with that product. It's in fat, and fat oxidizes over time. Now it's in a, it's not in a glass bottle, so it won't oxidize because of light. So, but eventually fats can oxidize, and when they do oxidize, they're not as healthy for us. It's such a tiny amount that I don't believe that the vitamin D itself deteriorates in any way.
Okay.
But I would stick somewhat close to the expiration dates. I'm certainly not going to throw it away on the day that it expires, but I might use it for another month or two.
Okay, because I think my last purchase, I purchased 12, so I'll cut that back a little bit.
Yeah,
because my
I
wife
wouldn't buy that.
I
appreciate you buying that many at a time, but I would cut back on that.
Okay, and what's it called? The Cardio Miracle versus your product that you just brought.
Two totally different things.
The
Mind Fuel. Yeah, two totally different things.
Okay, so I'm going to go with the Mind Fuel.
Yeah, I take both every day. Those are two things I take every day. Mind Fuel goes in my coffee in the morning, and once I finish my coffee in the morning, then I mix a big 40 ounce with 2 servings of Cardio Miracle, and that's what I drink the rest of the day.
Oh, okay. So you're doing both. Okay.
Yeah, they are two totally different things. They have nothing whatsoever to do with each other.
I got you. Okay, that's good. I got that one now. And the mellow versus the light balance. The mellow, can you
Yeah, light balance is every day for like mineral balance. If you're experiencing muscle cramping or muscle twitching or any of those things, that's a sign that light balance is probably going to help you. The mellow
Okay,
is
I take that every day.
Yeah, the mellow is more of a version of magnesium that really kind of helps lower stress levels specifically. So it can lower stress levels, and that form of magnesium also helps people sleep.
I may need that in order to call more often.
Yeah, it is a calming that is a calming mineral. That form of magnesium helps calm our entire nervous system down. That's why it helps us sleep. So the light balance, if you're having any kind of cramping or muscle twitching, the mellow, if you're really stressed out and having trouble sleeping.
Okay, but it wouldn't counter each other, taking
No,
it
not at
both
all.
at the same time.
Not at all. We
Okay,
we
you got
almost
that.
we can't get too much magnesium or potassium.
Beautiful. Okay. The bone broth, keto versus the regular. Like I've been using the keto
Yeah,
version of the bone broth.
total preference. Which one do you like better? I like
Okay.
the keto. I like the mouthfeel of having that extra fat in there. And for me, I like to get some fat in everywhere I can because the more fat I eat, the better I feel.
Beautiful. And that's me too. And I got the Solvern copper and silver. This is what my medications are. And I just want to speak to the last caller. I called you one time about cutting back on my oxycodone and my gabapentin.
Right.
And I did it. I was taking three doses a day before I had to go into therapy, and I cut out that second dose. It's tough,
It is.
but you can do it.
It is. Yeah.
But I was by my pain medication doctor, which is, it's pretty much obvious. He's going to say, you should take it, because when I went in for therapy to learn how to use the leg, he said, you don't know what you're going to be experiencing. And so I got the 3 doses in me, but I'm going to start cutting back on that because I'm progressing really good with the leg. And so I take the oxycodone and the gabapentin, and I also take the Eliquis. Is there any side effects if I start taking the silver and the copper that you might know of?
No, none whatsoever.
Okay.
The only side effect is you will strengthen your immune system.
Beautiful. And I do believe in these teachings here, and that's why I'm being very serious. I mean, I'm not a good communicator. I was telling Chelsea also on the telephone, or especially doing what I'm doing right now. But on a personal level, in the 50 years that I went out there, I pivoted to this yesterday. Having a personal relationship with everyone that you're dealing with throughout your day. Like I made a lot of most of my career, the last 35 years, easy was supermarket deliveries. There were overnight deliveries, I would talk to the people that would come in and do the floors at night.
Right.
When you're able to, it's hard to do it in the beginning, but once you start doing it, you make an effort to meet that person personally. It's just off the charts. I mean, to what business really becomes, because that, and Matt speaks of it, and Joel, Henry, but Kev, I think you got one more question about the coffees.
Sure.
The instant coffee versus the I was looking for it as you picked up the line. The regular coffee. Can you tell me what the difference in that purchase would be if I went instant versus?
Yeah, so
ground.
We're talking about the 4 Sigmatic coffees with the adaptogens. So they have ground coffee, and then you run it through a machine and make coffee, which is what I do every morning. I tend to drink the Think version of the coffee, and we buy the ground. And I do have a Keurig, but I have the the reusable cup, so you put your own coffee in it, and that's how I make mine every morning with Think. There are times where I will use the instant coffees that might have cocoa in them, or, they've got a couple different versions. Those also have the adaptogens. all they've done is just taken the same coffee that I would have used anyway and made it instant. So it's really just a little more convenient. If I'm going to make a cup later in the night and I want one of the adaptogens with the chocolate in it, then I'll just use the packets. It's nice and easy. Put it in hot water and I'm done.
Kev, I appreciate you so much. And I just want to say again, everybody out there listening, please support what you're listening to right now because of the climate. I'm going to stay calm about where we are, as far as political and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But this is very important because we can't take anything for granted today.
Nope. All right.
And Kev, I talked about Catherine Austin Fitz. Her website is Solari Report. And just the simplistic, she's the one that found $21 trillion in 1997 missing from the Pentagon. And what she preaches right now under Richard Werner is a world-renowned economist, born in Germany, raised in Japan, speaks Japanese fluently. And he explains our central banking system.
Yeah.
And to put it all in a symbol, what they say is use cash. Get away from the credit cards as much as you can.
I know.
QR codes. And that's why after you and I depart from this phone call, I'll be on the phone doing it.
There you go.
Because I don't know how to use a computer.
Got it. No problem.
And I'm proud of that too.
Yeah, that's right.
But,
all right.
I appreciate you so much, Kev. Stay strong.
Good stuff. Thanks for the call. Let's go to Kansas, and I'll let you know this is my last call. So you can either call and talk to me, or I'm going to be taking my vacation early today. Either one is fine for me. Doug, what's on your mind today?
Not much. Thanks for taking my call, and I hope you enjoy your weekend getaway up at the homestead.
Oh, I am. I have
looking forward to that.
I have so many projects that I've been working out there a lot. I've kind of been taking a little more time off recently, not from the shows. I've been doing the shows, the coaching, and the CMC. And many days, once those things are over, I have been going over there and working because there's just so much to do. But I am so looking forward to this much time to work on things out there.
I bet you are. Real quick question on my KBMO and what.
Yeah.
Sure, I guess move forward with that information on the coaching program, and my wife is a lot in the red, and so I talked to her about getting into the coaching program. But do we need to do a NutriQ first, or should we do a NutriQ first to help?
Absolutely do a NutriQ first. So tell me a little bit about your diet right now.
We're grass-fed, grass-finished beef, no grain. Mine is stricter. She has she's having troubles, I think, letting go of the sweet.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we make our own yogurt.
Okay, so it's really good. So you've got one of those interesting reports. So I'd like to dig into a NutriQ and see why. I mean, you hit all the big three. You've got meat.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Quick background on that. So the week before I did the KBMO, we were on vacation and trying to eat clean.
Okay.
I know I'm getting seed oil. No matter how good a beef I'm eating,
correct.
I know it's not as good as what I have at home.
Right.
So it was restaurant food for a week.
Got it. And that could have an impact on this. That's why these tests tell us a lot, but it's one piece of the puzzle, and the NutriQ really helps me kind of figure out why we got some of these results. You did test positive for Candida. So far, I think every single test I've looked at least has one marker for Candida. Everybody. But you also tested positive for zonulin. And zonulin is an indicator of leaky gut.
Okay.
And that's why then when
all
you
of a sudden my heartburn has came back.
Yeah, those two probably don't have anything to do with each other. The leaky gut actually has zero symptoms. There is no way for us to go, oh boy, when I eat, I feel like this. It must be leaky gut. There are no symptoms of it. So the heartburn, that would be probably some weak stomach acid that we could look at. But again, I'll probably be able to see that in the NutriQ. What happens with what zonulin tells us that the gaps in our intestines are getting bigger. And when the gaps get bigger, that's what we mean. Our intestines are leaking now, but we don't feel that. And it's leaking into the bloodstream. That's why you're seeing all these markers and you're reacting to these foods, because they're getting into your bloodstream undigested.
All right.
So we would do some gut healing.
Like eggs.
You have.
Eggs they're
well, you have. That's what I mean.
They're range-free eggs.
You've got chicken on your worst level. That's bad. We should not be reacting to chicken like that. You've got egg yolk and cow's milk. Now, cow's milk, that many people are reactive to that. You've got egg yolk in your second category. You got egg white in your third category. So that's not that you shouldn't eat those foods. You should. We've got to do some gut healing.
Okay. I figured that came in from eating eggs and sausage on vacation.
Well, here's the thing, though. I can.
That we get are range free. I mean, they're out eating bugs. They put the away at night, and it's an Easter egg hunt to find eggs in the morning.
Right, and that doesn't always matter. I can eat sausage and eggs for 3 weeks straight, and so could other people, and take the test, and those things would never show up. They shouldn't show up. Even if they're poor quality, they shouldn't show up. They're showing up because we've got the signs of leaky gut.
Okay. Well, then I will do a NutriQ, and my wife also. We'll both get signed up for your coaching program and try to get into that and get this figured out.
Excellent. All right.
One more question. Well, actually, two more questions. One, the definition or the word that we use, we say seed oils. Sunflower oil is a seed. Is sunflower oil? How? I understand canola, corn oil, vegetable oil. I don't want any of that. But seed oil is a confusing one for me on the term of sunflower.
Well, all of those things that you mentioned are seed oils. So canola oil, we get the oil from the seed of the plant. Corn oil comes from, now, the kernel is the seed, right? On corn.
Right.
That's where we get, so these are all seed oils. Cottonseed oil comes from the seed of the cotton plant, not the reason they call them vegetable oils is because we've been brainwashed to believe that vegetables are the healthiest food on the planet. Right? I mean, we've been told that our whole life, right? You have to eat your vegetables. Well, nobody likes them. Nobody likes them.
Nope.
And still to this day, I will say nobody likes vegetables. We like all the stuff we put on vegetables, including me. I'm not eating.
Yep.
I'm not eating a dry baked potato. I'm sorry, that's just not happening. That is awful. I can't even imagine it. My baked potato is loaded with sour cream and butter. That's why I like eating it. I'm not eating a potato dry. It's awful. Very few vegetables do I want to eat without something on them, and it's usually a lot of butter and salt and pepper is what I'm looking for, something with some fat and some flavor. But so we've been brainwashed to believe that vegetables are so healthy. So if we call them vegetable oils, well, then we were brainwashed to believe those were healthy. They're not. They didn't come from vegetables. They came from seeds. And if you ever look at the process that it goes through, all the chemicals that are used, the heat that's used, the processes to actually get oil out of these seeds is horrendous. Now, if if you've got small amounts of things like you'll see these words, cold pressed or expeller pressed, like sunflower oil. I can go along with a little bit of some of that. I don't want to overdo it, but I'm not going to avoid a product completely if it's got a cold pressed or expeller pressed oil. And as long as it's in a small amount. So here's the difference. You might have a prepared food that the seed oil is pretty far down the list, and it is expeller pressed or cold pressed. There's a good chance I might eat that product. On the other hand, if it's mayo, where the number one ingredient is oil, then hell no. I'm not going to do it there. So there are some degrees to this, but for the most part, I'd really just like to avoid those oils if I can, completely.
Yeah, I'd forgotten you talked about that before, those two terms, and but I was confused because if we can eat sunflower seeds are okay, but the oil.
It is mostly it's the process of them getting the oil out that really makes them bad. But here's the other thing. I would caution somebody against eating too many nuts and seeds overall. We talk about this. And it's the omega-6. There's just too much omega-6 in nuts and seeds. So we need to keep those quantities down. I don't avoid them, but I just make sure that that's a small part of my diet, not a big part.
Right. Okay. And I forget my other question.
Okay.
But so I just ordered. It was I forget what it is.
Happens to me all the time.
But when you talk about the hardest thing is knowing so much of this information. And my cousin, 12, 13 years old, she has diabetes.
Oh, type 1 or 2?
Juvenile diabetes. And it is so hard.
Now,
my cousin has diabetes. Their cat had diabetes.
Of course, right. Now, here's the thing. If they called it juvenile diabetes, hardly anybody ever uses that term anymore. But if they did, I'm assuming it's type 1.
Yep. I'm thinking the same thing. And she doesn't eat meat. She hates the texture of meat. So therefore her only fat would be in butter.
Yeah, and
oil.
Yeah, she needs to be on a very high fat diet. A very high fat ketogenic diet is what is absolutely best for type 1s. Not hardcore carnivore because there's too much protein. Hardcore keto is what she should be on. The results are clear that the health outcomes for a type 1 diabetic. Most type 1 diabetics have very, very short lifespans. They don't live long. It is a very difficult disease. And when the doctors say they're going to manage it, it is not easy to manage. And they take the worst approach ever. They will tell her, eat whatever you want, and we'll cover it with insulin. So now she's getting the high sugar dose, which is causing damage. Then she's getting the high insulin dose, which is causing damage. And it's not unusual for type 1s to lose their eyesight before they're 40, to lose limbs, to end up with severe kidney or liver disease. It is a really destructive disease. The high-fat ketogenic diet makes a world of difference.
Yeah, I caught Dr. Wolfson in one of his podcasts. He said anybody at that age, in one of his podcasts, said at that age, I guarantee they'll be on my table.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt. Right.
It's, the hard part is I tried to convince. So it'd be my cousin's granddaughter. Okay, so they were over a couple years ago, and we made dinner, and he was, I can't have that. It's too high in fat and blah blah blah. He was so afraid. My wife made this eggnog. It's all. It was just fat.
I love eggnog. Yeah. I know.
Oh my gosh, she makes the best eggnog. He had a little glass, and it was so
Now,
good.
hey,
I'll have another glass.
Doug, let's
I'll
be clear. You and I are not talking about the eggnog you buy at the grocery store. We're talking about
no.
making eggnog, right? And if you make it, right.
Oh yeah, it takes her forever to make. Same thing with the ice cream. The worst thing in it is 2 tablespoons of honey.
Exactly.
That's the worst thing in her ice cream.
Yeah,
but anyhow, he just knew his blood sugar was going to be through the roof, and I go, call me tomorrow, and let me know. And he goes, I'll be darned, it's low and this and that. How can that be? And I said, I pumped you full of fat.
That's it. That's right.
And now his granddaughter is type 1, and I'm going, I just want to say, remember that night that you overate at my house?
Yes.
With all this bad food? And your blood sugar did what?
It went down. Yes, exactly.
And I learned this from a guy on the radio.
An ex-truck driver. You always got to.
Guy on the radio.
If you really want to shock people, you got to throw in the ex-truck driver part.
I can't say that because that really takes it to another level. I only say that to other truck drivers.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Because they think I'm out here with flip-flops and the greasy front of my shirt.
That's right. That's right.
All
right, Doug. Good stuff.
Thank you very much. I will sign up on the NutriQ and your coach, and we'll move from there.
Excellent. I'll look forward to working with you. I got to tell you, I am enjoying the coaching program way more than I thought I would. I'm really enjoying it a lot. I did it because I get lots of requests from people that need more help than I can do on the radio show. And at first I thought, I just don't have time, and it's going to be a lot of work, and it is a lot of work. But I think I'm starting to enjoy my coaching call. It may be my favorite part of the week. And we're going to miss one this week because we're going to be celebrating our freedom tomorrow instead. Let's go to Indiana. Jeff, welcome to the program.
Happy 4th of July, Kevin.
Yes. What's on your mind today?
Hey, I read a statistic that on average, every 6 days, there is a country in the world celebrating its freedom from England.
Is that right? I don't think I've ever heard that before.
There's that many countries that have gained their freedom over the 300 years. I mean, just think about it. So
that's crazy.
That's, about 55 or so?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Is that weird?
That is weird. I've never heard that before either.
Yeah. Yeah, we think we're the only one, but just think of all the stuff that they, from the 1500s that India and South Africa and all the Africans and so that's just something I thought I'd throw out there. It's just kind of weird.
Yeah, it is. Interesting.
So anyway, back to testimonials. I'm approaching my 45th month of this unsustainable, terrible diet you have subscribed to. So,
speaking of which, I mentioned the other day that I kind of got into a little bit of a spat with somebody on social media. And I try to avoid it as much as I can, but I will always call out really bad information in trucking. I kind of feel like it's my job. I'm qualified to do it. So I really don't like arguing with people. People probably assume I like. I don't. I don't like debating. I don't like arguing with people. But I can't allow really bad information to be put out in trucking. I just feel like it's my job to guard against that kind of stuff. And I've been watching this guy, and I've talked to him. I've met him. Fitness-wise, the guy's incredible. I mean, he's out there, training for marathons while he's driving. He's helping other drivers figure out how to do that. And that's what he was doing for like the year or so that I've been on X. All of a sudden, he started promoting products. And I don't know whether he's getting paid for it or not, and I don't care. But the product sucks. I mean, this is so bad. This is like, Hey, have you ever seen Fairlife milk?
Yes, I've seen commercials for it.
It's awful. It's ultra pasteurized. It's ultra homogenized. It's filtered. This is a highly processed food. Well, then they take it and make some sort of protein shake out of it, which you know my whole take on protein shakes. Why the hell would you be drinking your protein? It's the easiest macro in the world to get. Eat another ribeye. Eat a couple more eggs. You'll be fine. So then it's got carrageenan in it. It's got sucralose in it. It is just total garbage. And I had to call him out. And I knew it wasn't going to go well. I tried to be as respectful as I could, but I said, look, this stuff is just awful. And his response, and I had to stop, and I thought, how could we still be getting this so backwards? You brought this up because you mentioned the sustainability. We know how sustainable this is. It's by far the most sustainable way of eating that I've ever tried, other than just saying I'm just going to eat whatever the hell I want. His response to me was, look, you don't understand what you're doing. You are never going to get truck drivers to give up processed food, so why bother? I'm teaching them how to get really fit, and then once we get fit, we'll focus on nutrition. I don't even know how to.
Yeah, I can see where that would push. I can see where that would push your button.
I'm not going to be able to get 300-pound truck drivers to eat ribeyes and eggs, but he's going to be able to get them to train for a marathon? How is your logic even close to? Right, while still eating
the
highly processed garbage.
Well, it's kind of, if you like to say, follow the money. Look at coming up tomorrow with 4th of July that Joey Chestnut isn't able to be in the hot dog eating contest because he signed a contract with a plant-based meat substitute promotion.
You know, I have mixed feelings about this. I hate seeing somebody get canceled over something so stupid like that. But I also hate the fact that he was promoting plant-based meat. So I don't know what to think about this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the contract. You have to eat Nathan's hot dog.
Of course.
Which is, the beef hot dog. But the whole thing they kicked him out for was that he's promoting something other than Nathan. So that's why. But then to kick you in the nuts, it's this plant-based crap.
That's so, like, I have total mixed feelings about this. Everybody's wrong in this story.
I mean, if the contract is the contract, you can't promote anything but Nathan's, so it's not the plant-based versus the meat hot dogs. It's the promotion
it's the marketing
of the other thing, but he went way on the other side.
Well, he sure did. Yeah, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
So the other thing that this guy was pushing, and I didn't even want to try to go down this road. Calories in, calories out. Still promoting that.
Yeah.
In fact, made the claim the only way you can lose weight is to take in fewer calories than what you burn, and it is so wrong. There was another a guy named Matt Wallace who has, I think, like 1 million plus followers or something on X. One of the really big accounts, pretty political most of the time, but he made a statement, and he's got a big following. So as soon as he made this statement, he got blasted. He made the statement like, I can't believe you people are so stupid. Weight loss is all about calories in, calories out. I mean, that was his basic stance, but he like insulted everybody who thought anything different, that how could you be so stupid? This is so simple. That was his approach. He got blasted. I mean, the functional world, he must have a lot of followers who eat carnivore and believe in functional, and they blasted him for a week. But
I just wonder if
these people that believe
carnivore,
that will never give up on that. It's like you can, no matter how many ways you explain this, that is one that it is a very, very hard belief to break. Now, I had the same belief. And I would have said the same thing. I did say the same thing. Come on, guys, this is simple. Look, you take in calories, you burn off calories. Just make sure you burn off more than you take. I said that I don't know how many times. And I will never, ever say it again. It is not even close to being true.
I just wonder if carnivores are more conservative, and if he has a conservative following.
He does.
That
he is a conservative, and he
people
has. And
tend to be more. The more conservative you are, the higher chance you're going to be of a carnivore. And if he said calories in, calorie out, the carnivores, they lost their mind.
Now it's certainly not across the board, but I would say there is a pretty heavy predominance of people who tend to eat carnivore are probably more conservative, and people who tend to eat vegan are probably more progressive. I mean, I think there's a pretty clear pattern there. And I don't know what happened I don't know what happened on social media yesterday, but the vegans have taken over my timeline. I have no idea what was going on, but it was just every single post. So I just started posting random pictures of ribeyes.
Well, 4th of July coming up where you barbecue and eat meat like a true American, and maybe they're trying to head that off.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Yeah. I was just shocked. It's like every other post, I'm like, what is going on? Where'd all the vegans come from all of a sudden? Yeah. So.
But, well, I just got, and I know you have nothing to do with this, but I got the new bag, which I'm not a fan of, the bag of Cardio Miracle. I don't like those plastic bags. And the old plastic tub they came in, I just poured it in that. But the scoop
I am
14.7 cc's, and the new scoop is 6.6.
I'm calling
and
them.
And the bag is smaller.
I'm calling them and complaining about the scoop. I like everything else. I don't mind the bag. I love the new formulation with NAC and glutathione, and the mushrooms, not a big deal for me because I already consume a lot of mushrooms in the coffee and the other things. But the NAC and the glutathione in the formulation I like. Makes it even more of a daily for me now. Those are some pretty good things to supplement, and it's easy. That scoop made me insane. What? I don't even understand why that goofy little scoop?
Well, I don't particularly care for the new taste. It's different than the old one.
You know why?
It's a lot brighter and pinker.
Well,
and that little baby scoop is half or 60% less. And the bag is smaller, so there's shrinkflation all around.
You can. I'm with you on the scoop. Here's why they had to reformulate the taste. Both NAC and glutathione do not taste good. And you know how I am heavily critical of like multivitamins and that kind of stuff, because if you get enough of all of this stuff in, you can't do it in capsules. You just can't. You're going to be swallowing 25 capsules a day. So it's got to be a powder. Then we have taste issues we have to deal with because a lot of this stuff does not taste good, and NAC and glutathione are two of them. The only thing they found that would counteract that flavor was vanilla. They added vanilla to the formula, and that's why it tastes different. And I wasn't wild about it in the beginning. Here's what I found. The apple cider vinegar really helps this one. But the other thing I actually found that I like, lemon or lime juice, which isn't a bad thing to get into your diet either. Keep some fresh lemons and limes around and squeeze. I'll squeeze a good size lime, the entire lime, into a 2-serving, like a 40-ounce tumbler that I do every day. I'll squeeze a full lime into that, and I really like the taste then.
Okay. Yeah, it just had it's like I said, it's a brighter, pink, or it's brighter, and it just
The
had
color,
a,
right.
a different taste that I was particularly not caring for.
And
it seems that it is more powdery than the other stuff. The previous stuff had more heft and grains to it, granulars, and this stuff is very light and very powdery.
I think it's always been powdery. Like, it is hard to mix a cup of this without inhaling it.
Yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely.
But it's
yeah,
always
you put
been
it in
that
there
way.
and you're
Right. Oh, yeah. It's like a cloud, and you're coughing, and you can taste it. It in your mouth. Yeah. But it's always been that way.
So, yeah, if you can find out why they cut the scoop
I don't get the
by 60%.
I don't get the scoop. I really don't. So I am going to ask about that. So the first thing I do now, I have so many of those scoops from all the tubs I've ever bought that the first thing I do when I open the bag is I just throw that little scoop away.
Yeah, no, I that's how I know that the size. Well, as soon as I opened it up and I saw it, I go, "What the hell is this little symbol?"
Yeah, I think what happened is
there?
I think what happened is they had to change the amount of a serving to get you the right amount of NAC and the glutathione, and I don't know. That's all I can think, but that scoop's got to go.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, then you're not going to get 90 servings out of it if it's at the little scoop.
Correct. Yeah. All right, Jeff, I will see what I can find out. There's always something going on in the background that I'm not aware of why they may have changed that scoop, but I'm with you on that one. Let's go to South Carolina. Terrence, good morning.
What's up, Kev?
Hey there.
Good morning. How's it going?
Good. What's on your mind today?
So Sunday, I went to go see Jim Brewer. He was playing in Myrtle Beach. Haven't seen him in like 13 years. I became friends with him I used to listen to the show. He was on satellite.
Oh yeah.
And I used to go to a lot of the functions he had, and I became friends with him. So I seen he was there. He hooked me up. VIP. Nothing.
Oh, nice.
But anyway, so at the end of the show, I went and seen him, and he's like, "My God," he goes, "You look good." I was like, "I'm fat, and I'm starting to lose my weight now." But he's like, "Something about you." I said, "Jim," I said, "I've been doing keto and carnivore." He goes, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah, man." I said, he goes, he couldn't get over he said, like, your skin is like. I was shocked. I've had some people tell me that before, but I haven't seen him. And it was funny too because I had a picture. When I was living in Wisconsin, we went down to Schaumburg. He was playing, and me and Leanne went and seen him. And I have a picture of me and Leanne with him, and then I had a picture I took with him on Sunday, and I put them next to each other, and you could see the difference in the way I looked back then, because that's before I started doing it.
Right.
And it was just amazing, but it was neat for someone to see that and say something about it. But yeah. But the laughter too, my God, my ribs were sore the next day.
I'll bet.
Funny though.
I'll bet.
But
good stuff.
Good to get a good laugh in. So.
Yeah. All right.
All right, I'll let you go, man. Everyone have a good 4th and be safe out there, and we'll talk to you guys later.
All right. Have a great 4th. We'll talk to you soon. Let's go to Illinois. Gerald, welcome.
Hey, Kevin. How's it going, man?
Good. What's on your mind today?
Well, first, I want to wish you and Lisa a happy 4th, and
thank you.
Have a good time with all week. Take it off. Recharge your batteries.
I don't know how much well, there will be some recharging just because I get away from the stress and the constant screen time and all the reading.
The technology.
There will be some there, but I will be very physically active the entire time. That's actually what I'm looking forward to. I will be outside in the sun. I will be digging and planting, and I got all kinds of stuff planned. I've got some decks that need oiled, so I'm going to be pretty active.
Yeah. Well, no, I wanted to tell you about my late wife, Carolyn. So the doctor had put her on all kinds of medicine. She was on like probably a dozen types of medication. And then one doctor misdiagnosed her for pre-diabetic. I was like, "You're not diabetic. You're not diabetes." They put her on metformin.
Unbelievable.
I
Now,
said, no, that's
it's very possible that with all those medications, there was one in there that was causing her to have high blood sugar. There are several medications that
oh yeah.
will really raise your blood sugar.
Well, have you ever heard of neurofibromatosis?
No, that's a new one.
It's a skin condition. It's a whole bunch of bumps. You get a whole bunch of bumps all over your body.
I don't know
And
if
they're
you'll know this or not,
like,
but I could look it up if you don't. Is it autoimmune?
yeah, I think so.
Okay. Many skin conditions are autoimmune, and almost all of our new or rarer or, diseases we've never heard of before turn out to be autoimmune.
Yeah, she said that her mom had those, and that they could actually grow inside of you, anywhere on your body, on the outside or inside.
Huh. Yeah, I've never heard of this one. But the thing is, with an autoimmune condition, we treat them all the same.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they're wildly different. Arthritis has nothing whatsoever to do with, autoimmune thyroid condition.
Yeah.
Or this condition, but they're all autoimmune. That means they had the same reason that the problem started, so we treat them all the same because the root cause of all of these things are the same. The medical community only treats symptoms. So every one of these diseases has different symptoms, so they all have different drugs, but ultimately they all have the same root cause.
Yeah, and she was going to her doctor for almost 30 years, and I was like, he's not doing anything.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's a long time. So I told her, I was like, well, because it was actually the medicine was starting to affect her, the way that she was driving and kind of falling asleep. So I was like, so I took her. I said, well, let's just take you off all that medication. And then within a few days, she was actually feeling a lot better. I was like, see, that's simple.
It is shocking how many times I've heard this story. And the doctors will swear, oh, my God, you can't stop that medication. You're going to die. And so many people say, look, I can't take the side effects anymore. And they start cutting out some of the medications. And the more medications they cut out, the better they feel.
Yeah, because she had arthritis, she would hurt, and like especially in her hips. And when she started taking the medication, and she stopped it, and she started feeling better, and she was actually moving around a lot better. She was feeling better, and then that accident happened. So
yeah. This is so common, and here again we go back to the whole system is broken. You go to a doctor, you have a symptom. They're going to send you to a specialist. The specialist looks at that one symptom and says, here's a drug, this will fix that symptom. And sometimes it helps a little, sometimes it helps a lot, sometimes it doesn't help much at all, but you keep taking it. Then another symptom pops up and you end up at a different specialist. Then that specialist says, oh, here's the drug you need for these symptoms. Nobody's paying attention to the whole body. And pretty soon, and nobody ever stops drugs. They just keep adding more. And pretty soon you're taking so many drugs that I don't know how anybody could feel good. And none of these drugs have ever been tested together. It's just that the system is just so broken.
Yes, I'm sure you've probably seen these, like this, what do they call that? Super beats.
Yeah.
Oh, you take those. Yeah. You don't have to do anything. Just take the super beats and it's that easy.
Well, I will say that I'd much rather see somebody take some super beats rather than a high blood pressure drug. There is evidence, strong evidence, that beets do contain the nutrients that help our body produce nitric oxide, which does lower blood pressure. There's all kinds of benefits to it. That's wonderful. It's a nutrient. It works. We really took that one step further. We were about to release a product similar to Super Beets. It was going to be a fermented beet product. But then we came across Cardio Miracle. And I said, that's kind of what we were shooting for, except theirs is about 10 times better than what we had created. So we actually dropped ours and just partnered with Cardio Miracle instead. But it's kind of the same idea. It's got some beets in it because beets are good for lowering nitric oxide. But you know my take on this. If you're eating the standard American diet, don't waste your money on any of this stuff. I wouldn't tell you to use Cardio Miracle. It's not going to work. You got to get all the crap out of your diet. Really, our health is not about putting stuff in. It's about getting almost everything out. And then if we need some supplementation, we can add it. But just throwing a bunch of supplements at our problems today does nothing.
Nope. Yeah, that's just like with me. Doctor had me on blood pressure medication, and so I haven't been taking that stuff for almost about a year.
Excellent.
Just weaned myself off. I don't need that.
Exactly.
I feel pretty good. Almost 40, so I can still very active. Get down in the floor if I need to lift something heavy or just
yeah,
no problems.
Good.
But now I do take a eye drop. It's a glaucoma eye drop. So I'm not sure what you think of like eye drops.
Here's my initial take on everything. My initial reaction is maybe there's a way you don't need it. I always want to explore that option. Why is this drop being used? Is there something we can look, my wife, I talked about the liver condition she was diagnosed with over 20 years ago. There is one drug she has to take because this was an autoimmune liver condition that damaged her bile ducts. The damage was already done. Maybe, sometimes we can reverse some types of damage. This one, it doesn't look like. But there's another interesting part to the story, and I talked about it when we did it. The drug she has to take technically isn't a drug. It's bear bile. They have to kill a bear, and they take bile out of the bear. And that's what this drug is. It's bear bile because her bile ducts are damaged. So her body can't produce and release bile. So she has to take this bear bile. And we found this supplement, and the claims were that, and it's chemically very, very similar. It is actually a synthetic version of bear bile. And for some reason, they add a taurine molecule because it works better or something. I don't know. But the idea is, look, we don't have to kill the bear to get this. Now, here's one case where it's almost backwards. The natural version is the drug. The synthetic version here in the United States is actually sold as a supplement. But in Europe, the synthetic version is the drug, and you have to have a prescription for it. We did a test because it was a supplement. I'd much rather give her a supplement than a drug, even if it is the synthetic version, just because I don't like supporting big pharma. So we did a test on it. We checked her liver numbers. We got her doctor to agree to this test, her liver doctor. Boy, that wasn't easy. But I said, look, I want you to be involved in this. If you're not, we're going to test it anyway. I don't care if you agree, but I'd like to have you involved in it. So I finally talked him into it. He went and did the research. He came back after doing the research and he said, this is really interesting stuff. Great. Here's the thing. Her numbers fluctuate a little bit here and there. There was a time where we were working way too hard. We weren't taking time off, and her numbers spiked a little bit, and we got worried. And we got strict on things again. We got her numbers back down. When she did this test with the supplement, her numbers elevated a little bit. It could have been several other things, and she decided, look, I don't want to risk it. We've done so much good. I'm going to continue taking what I'm taking. I said, that's fine, and you should do what you want to do. We now know that there's an alternative. When COVID first started, her drug, for some reason, was being pushed as a cure for COVID. The bear bile was.
Ooh.
And I immediately thought, if this is true, there's going to be shortages. We either need to stock up on this stuff, or that's when we found the supplement. And I said, well, at least now we have an option. I mean, I can buy this stuff by the truckload if I want to.
Right. Yep.
What else you got today?
Well, they said that all the eye drop. They said it's for keep the pressure low in my right eye, because I had to have my left eye removed.
Here's what we would always try to determine, and I don't know a lot about eye health. I don't claim to know a lot about this. It's something I probably would need to do quite a bit more research on. But what we would try to figure out always is, why is there pressure? What is the root cause of the pressure, and can we fix that somehow? And doctors never look for that. They have the drug. That's all they care about. They're going to prescribe the drug. We're done. I'd rather not prescribe the drug. If there's a way to fix the root cause, like many of our root causes, it's inflammation. If we can lower inflammation, many times the condition goes away. Like I said, I just know almost nothing about the eyes, though.
Well, it's interesting. You was talking about like the mammograms. Well, back in the day, we didn't even have any of that type of stuff. We didn't have cancer either.
Well, exactly. All of this testing has done nothing whatsoever to lower cancer rates. The more testing we do, the more cancer keeps going up. And there's two reasons for that. It's not the testing causing cancer. We're finding more. And sometimes we find cancers that we should just ignore, but we don't. Now, so there's more cancer, one, because we're looking more and we're finding more. And some people will go, oh, well, that's good. Well, maybe it's not. There are some cancers our body might just clear on its own. I don't want to know it's there. I mean, that's my whole take on this. I don't want to know it's there. I'm not screening. But the other cause clearly for more cancer, well, I'm going to give you two now. One is our diet gets worse and worse every year. The amount of chemicals in our world get more every single year. We're exposed to more and more chemicals all the time. Did you see this new trend? I think I mentioned this once. This makes me crazy. We're talking about, not showering all that often, not slathering, lotions and deodorants and all of this stuff, maybe it's okay if you're a little smelly once in a while. We're human, but we've been
we're human.
We're conditioned to believe you better smell like roses all the time or you're a jerk. I can't. But now, did you see this new trend? And it is exploding. Whole body deodorant.
Yeah, I saw that. The Lumi. Really like the Lumi.
Lumi is one, and that was the first one. Now, all the big deodorant makers...
I think Old Spice has got one now, too.
That's what I mean. Everybody who makes deodorant now has jumped on the bandwagon. They're all going to make whole-body deodorants. Are you kidding me? Let's just slather our entire body with a bunch of chemicals, day in and day out, and we wonder why we're sick.
That's like that it could get into your skin, like the hand sanitizer. That could get into your bloodstream.
Absolutely. We absorb all kinds of things right through our skin.
Yeah. Just like you've heard the WD-40, you put that on your joints to stop working.
There was a compound. This would have been in the 80s, 70s actually. Maybe it was 80s. I had the gym, I think. But right around that time, this thing came out, DMSO, and it was for pain. And athletes were using it, and I had the gym, so we got interested in this. And we looked at it, and it is an industrial solvent. That's its purpose. But somebody somehow figured out it will absorb right through your skin, and it will kill pain. So people were using it, and it worked, but nobody was looking at what is this stuff and what is it going to do to us. It was awful stuff. But I had a friend of mine that I wrestled with, and his dad was training me in bodybuilding at the time, and his dad was kind of a freak, one of those parents that his kid's going to be a state champion, and pushed him hard, really hard, all the time. And I was the opposite. I came from a family that I don't even know if my parents knew I wrestled, seriously. They never went to a single event that I had. Nobody pushed me at all. This kid was the opposite. His dad was a freak. And his dad was a really, really smart guy about a lot of things. But what happened one time was, I don't know what his dad was thinking. DMSO goes right through your skin. And so you rub it right where the pain is, and the pain goes away. So it goes right through the skin and goes right to the pain.
Yeah.
We had just finished wrestling practice, so we're all sweaty and nasty, and like you are in wrestling. And his dad used rubbing alcohol first to clean the spot, and then put the DMSO on. And Mike and I, we started to go out. We were going out somewhere that night, and I'm driving, and he's talking to me, and he starts slurring his speech, and he's acting really strange. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? And he's like, the DMSO took the rubbing alcohol right through his skin into his bloodstream. He was trashed.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was bad. Yeah, we do some really stupid stuff.
Yeah, we do. Well, all right, Kevin. I'll let someone else get on the horn, but you have a good vacation, my man, and I'll talk to you when you come back.
All right, will do. Thanks. Let's go to Nebraska this time. Dave, welcome to the program.
Hey, how you doing, Kevin?
Good. What can I help you with today?
Well, I was just wondering if I've talked to you before about soil and how healthy soil, and how we use way too many chemicals in it, as a food source. I didn't know if you wanted to visit a little bit about that.
Always.
Thought it'd be a good day to kind of talk to you about it.
Always, yeah.
I just got I got a message in one of my emails that there's going to be a blog, a live blog, or whatever you want to call it, about how we can keep insects out of plants. And it's really interesting. It's really easy. And I thought maybe I better visit with you about it, because I didn't know if you knew. But have you ever heard of the Brix levels in the sap of a plant?
Yeah, it measures the sugar. They use it a lot in wine.
Yep. Yes, sir. They sure do. And what we do is we balance the soil and we get it healthy, and then the plant takes up that health, I guess, so to speak, for lack of better terms, and it creates a higher Brix level, and biting and sucking insects will leave it alone. Or if they do decide to eat it, they can't process sugar, so they just dehydrate themselves and die.
Huh.
And the reason I'm saying that, here in Nebraska, everybody uses chemicals for insecticides. We have fungicides, and people don't realize in those fungicides there's cyanide in them. I don't know if you knew that or not.
They're so nasty, I don't even bother to. I just know I want to avoid that stuff at all cost. That's what I know. Yeah.
For sure.
Right.
You betcha. And you're on the right track. We've got some products. I'm not here to sell anything. I'm just here to
that's fine.
Educate guys.
Yeah.
We got a product. It's humic acid. It's carbon for the soil, and we also have the soil aerobic bacteria and mycorrhiza that we put in with it.
Yep.
And holy smokes, we can raise organic matter. Again, we get the plant healthy, and we also get the carbon nitrogen cycle working, where they're always talking about this green crap, the green programs. We're kind of that way. I'm not an environmentalist, but what we can do is help take carbon dioxide out of the air better. Not this ain't a new deal, but we help the plant do that. And then when it gets down into the roots, it separates it to carbons and all that.
Yeah.
And that's what builds up the organic matter and also the bacterial home. And it's really intriguing. It's real fun to do, because nobody, and I'm not bragging, but nobody can prove us wrong, especially with soil testing.
Absolutely. No, I believe it. I've done enough research and had some personal experiences with gardening in this. It is incredible how you can transform the soil and how much better it is when you do compared to this chemical farming where we just strip the soil of everything and we're really growing our plants with a bunch of chemicals.
Absolutely, Kevin. We've got a company we buy some of our products from, and the rep travels all over the world. And he was telling me just a couple of weeks ago about a story that they take I don't know, I think it's like apples and stuff from Chile, and they ship them over to China, and they're sprayed before they go on the boat because they can't last the time frame it takes to get from Chile to China, and they don't get paid for their products until it's unloaded, and the product is like mush. The apples are just there's no nutrients. So here's what, to make a long story short, they use this product. It's a foliar spray. It's really complex again, but it's easy. It gets into the plant, into the bloodstream, into the cell very quickly within a couple hours. But they get these plants in the orchards healthy, and they don't treat their apples, and they ship them over there. It takes, 20 days or whatever to get to China, and their apples are just like they come off the tree.
Yeah.
It's all because
the interesting thing about this topic, the interesting thing about this, I was just dealing with this again. We have become accustomed, if you buy produce from the grocery store, I've become accustomed to how long it lasts. Like scary sometimes. Yeah. Like that head of broccoli I bought 2 weeks ago. Why does it look like I could still eat that? It's not deteriorating.
Yeah.
And then I assumed, because I kind of know how the supply chain works, it was probably weeks after that broccoli got picked before it even got to me. And yet it's still lasting. Yep. So when I first started gardening, I'm thinking, I just cut a head of broccoli. I've got a week or so with that in the crisper. 2 days later, I look at it and I'm like, I'm not going to eat that. Because it's real. It was raised properly. It doesn't have a long shelf life at all. We have so hybridized some of these produce varieties that all we care about is shelf life, and they taste awful.
Yeah, it's Kevin. Some of the stuff that we're in our food process, or the food chain, is so scary. Some of this GMO stuff will cause females not to reproduce, and people don't. They think I'm crazy or whatever. I've been doing this for like 35 years, and they really thought I was bad back in the 90s, but this is really true. It's scientifically backed and everything. And like I said earlier, the fungicides, it costs so much money to spray it, and they're 3 or 4 times a growing season. And all these farmers and stuff are saying, if I didn't do that, my God, my corn would die. Well, what that fungicide is doing is shutting the plant down for 10 days to 2 weeks. And it's kind of like chemotherapy for a plant.
Really?
And they're not, people don't realize that. You can take a soil test. It's called a PLFA test. It measures the bacteria and the fungi, in the soil, and you can see that it shuts down. And what it's doing, instead of the natural process of growing the plant, it's trying to repair what that fungicide's doing to it.
Wow.
And yet, you hear agriculture people saying there's no money in farming. It's like $35 an acre to treat with a fungicide, and they do it 2 or 3 or 4 times.
Wow. Holy cow.
And so it all revolves into one thing. It's all about what God put on this earth for us and how we can help and not hurt. And all we're doing is hurting.
So, Dave, one of the things that I got to experience firsthand, and I don't know why I had a hard time accepting this. I should have realized that this is just the way things work and the way they should work, was this idea of if you grow a healthy plant in healthy soil, the bugs won't attack it. Or the funguses won't attack it. And I'm like, oh, come on. There's bugs. There's a plant. If they want to eat the plant, they're going to eat the plant. And I didn't believe it. But then I saw it. I have a perfect example of it right now. I have some some garden that I planted here at the house, and I've got a big garden that I've planted out at the homestead. And I've been spending way more time out at the homestead because it needs so much more work, and I've kind of been neglecting my garden here. All that happened in reality was I have some cabbage plants that didn't get watered as well as they should have. So one of the things that will happen, without enough water, it won't grow. So they're about half the size of the cabbage plants that are over at the homestead. But here's the other thing. Every single cabbage plant here is being attacked by cabbage worms. None of my plants over there are being attacked by cabbage worms. And I haven't put anything on either one of them. And I thought,
Yep.
this is an example. Why aren't the bugs eating that plant over there? And it turns out that it's just like our immune system. If bacteria try or viruses try to attack our body, our immune system fights back and says, no, that's not going to happen. The immune system in the plant stops the bug from eating the plant. It puts out a chemical defense.
So true.
But it's got to be a healthy plant in order to be able to do that.
That's correct. And that's it all. It's like I said earlier, it's all so complex, but yet it's really simple.
Right.
It's so much fun, Kevin, because people just think you're off your rocker or whatever, but yet they can't prove us wrong because,
correct.
Well, how come you don't have any bugs in there?
That's
because the soil's healthy. Well, how's that work? You know?
I know.
It's just really fun.
It is. It is really fascinating.
This fungicide. Yeah, this fungicide stuff is so detrimental. People, if they knew, most people don't even know. They don't even read the labels. There's PPE protection, personal protection equipment you have to wear when you handle this stuff. And most people just say, "Oh, I'll get the airplane guy to do it, or I'll get the local co-op to put it on there. I want to handle it."
Oh
man, it's detrimental.
That's our food.
Yes. It's just like you were talking earlier, the last caller about the skin, and they were putting that stuff on the skin and everything. Well, that plant, the leaves, the foliage is the skin.
Correct.
It's the mouth. It's the
That's
stomatas.
right. That's right.
And you spray that in there, it's absorbing, and it's like Roundup has got like a 50-year half-life in the soil. I never used to believe that. I thought it was just strictly a contact killer. It is not.
Right.
And so here's what we're doing. 75 years ago or 80, whatever, like maybe pre-World War II or right after, all these carpet mills, like in the Southeast per se, back in the 40s, they were dumping everything in the rivers, all their waste, and of course they couldn't do that because it started killing stuff.
Yeah.
So they start bonding that with nitrogen and fertilizers, and they say, well, back in the Midwest in the Corn Belt or whatever, there's millions of acres of stuff that we can dump this, and a little bit ain't going to hurt nobody. Well, 75 years later, overuse of fertilizers and salt has built up, and think about the autism, obesity.
Oh, I am right
dementia.
with you. Yep, I am right with you.
Yeah. And Kevin, I don't want to beat a dead horse with you because I know you're pretty good at this, but people got to realize that what we're spraying and using is killing us.
Yes.
And a little at a time.
Yes, it absolutely is. Not only are there chemicals in the food just to make the food, there are ingredients in the food, but chemicals are sprayed all over all of our food. And I honestly don't even trust organic anymore. Most of the organic,
You're right.
Most of the widely distributed organics are all owned by all the big ag companies anyway. And I don't trust
That's
that.
exactly right.
Here's what I know they're doing. I know they are, if they're not outright cheating, they are pushing every single limit they can possibly push and still call it organic. And many of them are probably just outright cheating.
Yep. That's exactly right. And we had the guy that I met a few years ago, I was looking for him for a long time. The guy that got me into this back in the 90s passed away before I could get his soil bacteria formulas and whatnot. I found a guy over in Iowa, and he's raising organic corn, and we can prove it with the soil test, but he doesn't put any fertilizer on, and the nitrogen, available nitrogen to the plant, is going up exponentially. Like the first year he finally kind of got this going, he figured it out. He went from like 48 units of nitrogen in the soil to 450 in a year and a half.
Wow.
Of available free fertilizer.
Wow.
And so that's what I'm kind of getting at is when you get the soil balanced, the plant will take out nitrogen in the air that we breathe, which a guy told me I was crazy. There is no nitrogen in the air that we breathe, by the way, according to him.
What?
And it's 78%.
What? I was going to say it's almost 80% nitrogen.
We learned that in the third grade.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's what's so exciting is people say there's no way that you can tell me that we can cut back on our fertilizer like the first year in our program, like 25 to 50%. And I said, sure there is.
Yeah.
If you just listen to me, and we'll take a soil test and we'll show it to you. It's really an easy when we get out of Midwest Labs in Omaha, Nebraska, and it only costs like I can't remember $15 or something like that. And you show that to everybody, and you show them the regular soil test. Most of these agronomists do not know how to read a soil test and what they've actually got in the
Isn't that crazy?
Soil profile. And so, and so they say, well, you got to put starter fertilizer on. So I see you got a whole bunch in the soil profile, but it's not available. So you got to put more on. And what that does is it creates a lot of weed problems. And, a plant loves ammonium. A weed loves nitrate. So guess what's happening? The soil shut down. There's no ammonium transferring. It's all nitrate. So the weeds are like, oh boy, this is great. This is Thanksgiving dinner. So that's why they grow. If you balance the soil, you don't have any weeds. And man, you'll probably get some calls on that one, but it's the truth. And we can prove everything with the soil test.
I'll bet.
It is. It's so much fun. You can take a 6 foot, I did it one time, a 6 foot rod, galvanized rod. It was a 1/2 inch diameter. And this guy said, push it in the ground in my garden where he was treating this stuff. And I about fell on my nose. I pushed it in the ground 6 feet. And he just sat there and laughed. He kind of chuckled. And he said, now try to pull it out. And I took my hand and pulled it right back out again. And he explained it to me, all we're doing, we're adding oxygen to the soil, which enhances water absorption. We put carbon in the soil, which is a sponge. So we get the sponge in the soil and we get the oxygen going. And he always told me it's a long ways to China.
Yeah.
And so every square foot of soil will, if it handles its square foot of water, you can cut erosion by, 50 to 75%.
And use a lot less water, which is what is better when you're gardening or farming to be able to use less water. I mean, that's a huge issue. I am getting to experience this firsthand because this property that we bought, the homestead, has been regeneratively gardened for 50 years.
Oh boy.
Yes. No fertilizers, no chemicals of any kind, compost and cover crops, and it 50 years.
Yeah. And they say it can't be done though, Kevin.
Yeah, it's just like that damn keto and carnivore diet you talk about is not sustainable. Right.
It all goes side by side, doesn't it?
It does.
I've talked to you before about stuff here and about the keto and all that. And I just get really passionate about this stuff because we absolutely can grow very healthy food.
Yes.
And it doesn't take very long to do it.
And it's not expensive either.
No, we don't get any yield loss. People say, oh yeah, you'll do this and no fertilizer and our yields will go way down. No, it's not true at all.
Right.
In fact, they stay the same, if not go up.
Yeah.
And it's just so much fun. Like I say, foliage feeding and balancing the soil and doing some research. Like you always say, do the hard work, which ain't very hard. There's plenty of links and stuff, which I think I'll send them to you in the next day or two to kind of let you look at stuff. I know you get all kinds of stuff, but this stuff is just so fun to follow.
Oh, send me all of that. Yeah, I am. I never thought I'd see the day where it'd be normal for me to be brewing like 20 gallons of compost tea at a time.
You're exactly right on the right page. Have you ever heard of
Dr. Elaine Ingham?
No.
Okay, I'll have to send you some stuff. She's on YouTube. It's called the Soil Food Web, and it's just fun. She's very confident, like what she does, and it's just fun to listen to her. She's got a ton of information on there, and they got stuff like carbon farming, and it's just these farmers, I guess producers, I should say, because the main thing is if they would just take some time and do some research and think about it without being prodded by the chemicals.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. You know what I see here is and I'll be the first one to admit, I know next to nothing about farming. I can't claim to know much about it other than what I've read. So I have no experience in it. But now I have this gardening, which is there's a lot of similarities. It's a much, much smaller scale. I get it. But what I see is it looks like that farmers have become nothing but, they are stuck in a system that they have to have seed from a certain company. They have to have these chemicals from a certain company. They can't operate without them. I'm looking at and I know it's a garden, it's not a farm, but I'm still growing stuff. And I now am to the point where I need nothing from anybody. I don't need to buy anything to make my garden grow stuff. I recover my own seeds, and I can, because they're heirlooms. They're not hybrids. They will reproduce. So they're all heirlooms, so I can recover my own seeds. And I do still buy seeds, just out of pure convenience. But I know how to recover seeds. I do recover them. I buy seeds sometimes just because I want to try a new variety of something. But I buy zero fertilizer. I have everything I need on the property to produce awesome compost, and from that I can produce compost tea. And if I'm doing this, I don't need insecticides and fungicides and herbicides and all the other stuff. So you
sure don't.
Joel Salatin talks about this on his farm. He brings in some supplemental chicken feed in the wintertime. And that's about it. Other than that, he says he has no inputs.
I could tell you all kinds of stories, but what the big thing is, if you get a healthy soil, you build the healthy soil up, and then you put plants, or you plant seeds, and then they become healthy, and then we eat those plants or the produce, and guess what? We become healthy.
Exactly.
Then too.
Right.
Kind of a funny circle.
Right. Or if we're feeding farm animals, because I really want the animals even more than I want the plants, but we should be feeding the animals good, healthy food, and we don't.
That's right. We've experienced like a cow, was carrying a calf or whatever. They'll eat less, like hay, for instance, from our stuff, because they're getting satisfied quicker.
Isn't that crazy?
And that probably sounds like I fell off my head. But
no,
but it's the truth.
We have the exact same thing with humans, and I talk about it all the time. When you eat real nutritious food, you will eat significantly less. We only eat food for one reason. We eat food because we need nutrients to live. Once your body has the nutrients, it will tell you to stop eating. If you're eating the standard American diet and there's no nutrients, that's why we never stop eating. It's why we overeat, because our body is saying, look, you can keep eating, but until I see some nutrients, we can't stop. And on our standard American diet, there just isn't enough nutrition. We just keep eating.
That's exactly right. And think about it. And I don't have to tell you, I'm kind of preaching to the choir here, but
we
back
both
in the
are.
70s, I saw a picture of people out on the beach.
Oh, yeah.
And then you look at a picture this day and age and look at the difference in obesity and the obesity in kids that are like 3, 4, 5 years old.
It is awful. It is awful. And the answer is simple. You and I just spent 15 minutes talking about it. It's really simple.
Yep.
All right, Dave, good stuff.
I'll tell you what,
hey,
I'm
send me those links.
For now, Kevin, there's ever people that I'm sure want to talk, but I'll kind of keep in touch with you, maybe via email or something, but I'll kind of send you some stuff, and
excellent.
And we'll talk that way. Maybe I'll call in again in a week or so. But I'm sure there's going to be some people that's going to probably rebuke everything we talk about, but
That's okay. That is okay.
We can prove everything.
That's right. All right.
Well, you take care, and happy 4th of July.
All right. You too. Thanks for the call. Great. I love that guy. I get excited about that too. And I try not to talk about it too much on the show, but on Health Day, we certainly can. This is a huge part of our health. I encourage anybody who can. I realize I've got a lot of drivers out there that really can't garden. I get it. If your wife can, if your kids can, do anything you can to get your hands in some dirt and grow stuff. It's a, I can't think of a healthier hobby for a lot of reasons. Let's go to California. Brian, welcome.
Hey, Kevin. Just a quick question. I've been doing carnivore for the last year. I've gone probably from 240 down to about 195.
Congratulations.
Yeah, from a 42 waist, and right now I'm about to go into 34 pants.
Wow.
Pretty happy.
That's big. Holy cow.
Yeah. So, but my insurance company for my health insurance, I haven't been to the doctor for like a physical or anything in probably 15 years or so.
Good for you.
But they're making me choose a primary care physician. And so I kind of did some research, and I found a doctor that's actually taking some patients, and I've got a relative that goes to her. I don't prescribe to anything that the doctors are currently doing, but if I got to choose one, I'll choose my own evil, I guess. So I have to go in for this initial visit, just to be acquainted with the doctor, I guess. And I'm sure that they're going to want to have me take a full physical and all that kind of stuff. And because I'm 55, I'm sure I'm near death in their eyes. But I just want to know if they want to do tests and all that kind of thing, what tests should I agree to, and which ones should I say, hey, there's no need for?
Okay, so I have a couple thoughts here. One, based on everything you've told me, your age, your health, the way you're eating, the first thing I might do is find a different insurance company.
Okay.
I might look. There are insurance companies out there that might not require this. I'd at least try. The insurance world is changing a little bit. There are some companies that have started that have tried to really target really healthy people and then lower the cost of insurance, which makes a lot of sense. So I would at least look and just see if you can find a different insurance company.
Oh yeah, it's insane. It's been thousands of dollars a year, and I don't even go to the doctor.
You would think that that insurance company would be really, really happy to just cash your checks and move on, knowing that you're not on 7 prescriptions.
Exactly.
But here they want to put you into the system that makes people sick.
Exactly, and I don't want to get in the sick care system.
So if you can find another insurance company, I'd at least try that. If you have to go to a doctor, here's what I would recommend. Just ask for the minimum testing that the insurance company would accept. Whatever that happens to be with them. And it's probably not going to be much. They're probably going to do standard panels. They'll do a cholesterol panel, and they're going to tell you need a statin. They're going to do the typical.
They told me that 15 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So they'll do that again. They'll do the really, really basic stuff. They're not going to look for the things we would look for if we thought you actually needed some help. And the reason I'm not saying, once you're in there, we should go check this and that. Why? You're not calling me with a complaint about your health. You're not saying something's wrong or there's something you want to fix. So if somebody doesn't have a complaint, I don't want anybody to test anything.
Yeah. Okay.
You've already beaten the odds by far. At your age, you should be on at least 4 prescription drugs, and you should have at least 2 named, conditions, and you should have all kinds of health complaints, and you have none of those things. So why would we go test anything?
No, exactly. I'm actually now, even at my age, I'm building and I think it's due to the carnivore. I'm building muscle faster than I ever have before.
Absolutely, it's because of the carnivore. I can too, faster than when I was 18 years old.
Yeah, I've taken over one of my drivers is out, and so I've taken over his route, and I mean we deliver beverages, and so that's
a lot of work.
35, 50 pounds a case times 800 cases a day. So
yeah,
it's a lot of lifting and everything, and I can't believe the physical difference in my body in the last 6 weeks is just incredible.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, we should males peak at like 18 for testosterone levels and things like that. That's when we should be able to build the most muscle. But my diet was so poor back then, and my diet wasn't as bad as most people's, but it was bad enough that I absolutely can tell now I can build muscle faster now than I could when I was 20.
Yeah.
The other thing
crazy.
that I really struggled with when I was 18, 19, owned the gym, was trying to figure out if I wanted to be a competitive bodybuilder or not. My partner was. My partner was one in the top 10 bodybuilders in the country. He was the youngest ever Mr. Ohio. He was Mr. Teenage Ohio when he was 19, and he was the youngest ever Mr. Ohio when he was 20. He won it the next year. He used to hold a big bodybuilding competition in Columbus, and it was the Arnold Schwarzenegger was a part of it. And he was my partner in the gym. We went to school together, grew up together. I sold out to him, and he ran the gym for 30 years. He also owns a supplement company. The interesting thing is, he only sells his supplements in Europe because the stuff he formulates, he can't sell here in the U.S.
Yeah, it's probably too clean. And
yeah, it's something. Yeah. So, but the other cool thing, he actually reopened the gym back in the same town, I grew up in, and he just reopened the gym a couple of years ago, which I thought was pretty cool. There was a point to the story. Now I forgot what it was. I got so far off track, I forgot what my point was. What were we talking about? No clue. Lost my point completely.
It was muscle growth, basically.
Oh yeah, muscle growth. It still isn't getting it. I know that's where I was going with something about this when I had the gym. Yeah, I don't know. But now I can tell. I know what it was. No matter how hard I trained, and typically when you're training for bodybuilding, you kind of bulk up weight-wise. You put on some weight on purpose. Like there used to be, weight gain powders I used to drink and crazy high in calories. And you would put on some weight because it allows you to train with heavier weight. And then as you got closer and closer to a competition, you would start cutting weight because you got to get your body fat down to really crazy low to show all the muscle definition. When you see a bodybuilder competing, they don't look like that all the time. They look like that for a couple of weeks at best as they're getting ready to train and compete. And within a week after, they don't look like that anymore. You got to get down to such a crazy low body fat. But the thing that was happening with me and with a lot of people, we struggled with this. You'd get your body fat so low it was almost dangerous, and you were starving yourself to do it, and yet you still couldn't see the definition. And you know what it was?
Yeah.
Then we realized, if we take a diuretic, now we can see the definition. We had to, not only did we have to get our body fat so low, we had to almost dehydrate ourselves. And I don't have to do that anymore. I can see more definition in my muscles now than I can when I was 20 and training because I'm not all bloated and holding a bunch of water.
Exactly. If there's the one thing this eating carnivore does do is you're definitely using the restroom more frequently.
I explained this the other day. Your body doesn't hold as much water because it doesn't need it. That's why you're not bloated and you feel leaner and lighter. But because it's like your water reservoir now is much, much smaller, and I keep it full all the time. So if I drink a half a cup of water, I'm going to have to go pee a half cup back out. You're just that full, but you're not bloated.
No, not at all. It's amazing.
And
it's scary that people fight back so much about it.
Boy, do they ever.
They just don't understand.
Yeah.
Lack of education.
It really is. And it's worse than a lack of education. We've been indoctrinated into our beliefs about food and all of this stuff. We would, if the government would have just stayed out of it, and big pharma and big food, and we wouldn't have all these commercials and all, we would not be in nearly the bad shape as we are. We're not educated the right ways, and we're indoctrinated into all the wrong ways.
Wrong ways, that's for sure.
Kevin,
I appreciate your answer.
Yeah, one more thing, and then I'm going to end this, and I'm going on vacation. Yesterday I said, and it's still happening today, all of my social media timelines have been taken over by vegans for some reason. I don't know what happened. And I do follow some.
No, you know what? Because on X, I follow a bunch of carnivore guys, and they're gone, and now all I've got is
vegans.
Just junk.
I know it just happened. It just started yesterday, but one of them made the statement, and I can't find it again right now, but because I responded to it, one of them made the statement that we Americans have been conditioned to eat animal products. And I thought, wait a minute. The only conditioning to eat animal products came from God, because it's been around for about 100,000 years. That's all we ate. Nobody had to condition us to eat animal products. They had to condition us to eat ultra-processed food.
No, who conditioned me to eat animal products was my dad and my grandfather.
Right.
They taught me how to hunt for the animals myself.
Exactly. Right.
Which at this point is about 75% of what I consume.
Oh, that's awesome.
I've hunted and killed myself.
That's awesome.
And then the other 25% is I've got a cousin that raises cattle, and we've set aside cattle he and I are raising, along with a couple of other friends, that are all grass-fed, grass-finished, everything.
Nice.
Yeah. Separate from his other herd.
Right.
And it's so I don't buy any commercially raised meat unless I actually go out and eat in a restaurant.
Which I try to do as little as possible these days.
Yeah, maybe once a month at the most.
Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah. All right, Brian, good stuff.
Awesome. I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, I am 30 seconds away from vacation. I haven't taken one in a while. Not a real vacation. I know I took a week off for a while, but I ended up working more than I should have. This time I'm not going to work a whole lot. I'm just going to go enjoy myself. So we will see you back here in, I don't even know how many days. Enjoy the 4th, celebrate our freedom, and we'll see you when I get back. Be safe, be profitable, be fit and healthy. Always do the hard work and master the journey.